Good evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing for the invocation by Pastor Michael Williams of Shade of Worship Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Taking my place this evening is Dr. Robin Weiche.
So of course I am not pastor, but I am part of pastor. So we could like this time. Heavenly Father God, I would thank you for this opportunity to be amongst brothers and sisters in God. Father, although this may be Black History Month that we're celebrating, we know that Black history is all year long. God, we thank you that at this time, God, that brothers and sisters in Gloucester Township, Father, whatever they may look like, God, whatever package they may come in, God, we're still brothers and sisters. God, you, our great creator, made us all to be brothers and sisters, God. And so I thank you for this opportunity tonight to come before you on behalf of my brothers and sisters here to honor Black History Month, God, and those that have made positive contributions to Gloucester Township, Father, a wonderful place to live. And so, Father, I ask you that on tonight, as the procedures go through, God, with the services, dear Lord, that everyone, God, walks out differently than when they came in, that they walk out, God, with a heart of unitedness, God, and one, God, that says that we are going to work together because we were created to be together. So we thank you for all these things. Thank you for the council. Thank you for all those that put this affair together. And we thank you for those that are being honored. And I ask you to continue to bless everyone here, God, and their families. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Please be seated. Good evening. This regular meeting of the Township Council being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which scheduled designated time and date and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We're using an electronic amplifier and foreign device in order to obtain a clear and audible record. We request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly to the microphone. So the recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of the minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Mignon?
Here.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? Here. Mrs. Grace Love?
Here.
Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters? Here. Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Carlemere?
Here.
Mr. Curtis?
Here.
Chief Harkins?
Here.
Mr. McGill?
Here. We had a special presentation this evening as we celebrate Black History Month. Before we do that, there's a proclamation I asked the clerk to read. Madam Clerk.
Whereas the Township of Gloucester takes pride in recognizing February 2024 as Black History Month, celebrating the many notable contributions of people of African descent, have made to our country. And whereas Negro History Week was first established in 1926 by the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Under the leadership of Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the famed African American historian known as the father of Black history. And whereas in 1976, the expanded the celebration of Black History Week to a month-long celebration of Black history. And whereas 10 years later, Congress passed Public Law 99-244, designating February 1986 as the 16th annual public and private salute to Black history, observed as National Black Afro-American History Month. And whereas we recognize this year's theme of African Americans and the arts. And whereas this theme explores how the African American influence has been paramount in the fields of visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, folklore, language, film, music, architecture, culinary, and other forms of cultural expression. And whereas African American art is infused with African, Caribbean, and the Black American lived experiences, and African American artists have used art to preserve history and community memory, as well as empowerment. And whereas artistic and cultural movements such as the New Negro Black Arts, Black Renaissance, hip hop, and Afrofuturism have been led by people of African descent and set the standard for popular trends around the world. And whereas the unbroken chain of the Black art production from antiquity to the present, from Egypt across Africa, from Europe to the New World, can still be seen today through the timeless arts of African descent, such as Riley, E.B. King, and his contributions to music, Langston Hughes and his poetic contributions, and the artistic contributions of Judith Jameson. Now therefore be it resolved that David R. Mayer, Mayor of the Township of Gloucester, and Orlando Mercado, President of the Council, Township of Gloucester, do hereby proclaim February 1st, 2024 through February 9th, 2024 as Black History Month, and call upon the people of the Township of Gloucester to observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and reflections. Continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, equitable, and prosperous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Orlando Mercado. I'm the Council President, and I send greetings from Mayor Mayer. Unfortunately, Mayor is out of town today, but he does send his regards to everyone. And I also want to acknowledge we have commissioners from Camden County. Camden County Commissioner Gene Betteridge. Commissioner Al Dyer. Commissioner Jonathan Young. Thank you for being here today. As we celebrate 10 outstanding honorees that contribute to the fabric of Gloucester Township. These 10 honorees were selected by our committee. We have two individuals that serve on our committee, Mr. George Hill, George, and Renee Michelle. Both honorees that are former honorees that come back here every year and serve in this capacity. So I thank you very much. We have 10 outstanding honorees, and you're going to hear about the inspirational work that they do, the contributions they make to our community, the obstacles that they have overcome, and we're going to learn from each other. And this is a great evening. One of my favorite classes when I was in college was a class called Ethnic Minority Relations, where we sat there and we learned about different cultures. And we tried to, there were some stereotypes in this, and for myself, yes, Puerto Ricans, we like rice and beans. Yeah, you can't just, yeah, it is what it is. Well, we learned from each other, and we sat down and discussed the different races and ethnicities that we had there. And when we learn from each other, we have a better understanding of each other. So I want to thank you for all for being here today. I want to bring up our first nominee, Khalid Bruce. Khalif was born and raised in Buda, out there in Atlantic County. Correct. Okay. He didn't wear shoes until he was 17. Okay, I've been country. We talked about that earlier today. I'm a country boy myself. But great roots. And he attended Atlantic Community College and graduated with his associate's degree and with high honors there. From there, he moved on to Rowan University, where he majored in English and graduated with an English degree and also an English as a second language certificate. He moved to Gloucester Township in 2021. He currently is a substitute teacher at Charles W. Lewis School, trying to navigate his way to get a full contracted position in our district. I'm proud of him as a gentleman because 2 years ago, he attended a job fair, and the individual that he interviewed was me. I served as a human resources supervisor for the Gloucester Township School District. And I sat there and I listened to his story and his background, what he wanted to do, and his infectious smile and energy that he brought. And I knew we were going to bring him on. We got hired on the spot, correct? Correct. Okay. And I said, I know where I'm going to put you. I'm going to put you at C.W. Lewis Middle School. I said, because I believe our students there can benefit from him. He has served as the assistant basketball coach of the men's basketball team. He has served as assistant track coach. He is also an intramural coach. He is part of a project at Rowan called Project Impact. What Project Impact does is increases male participation and as far as getting more men of brown and black to be teachers in our school system. So he is part of that program. He was nominated by the school counselor at C.W. Lewis School. And I'm just going to highlight some of the things that she said about you. He brings a happiness and passion to C.W. Lewis School. Teachers praise him because he has the ability to work with every student there. Now, the substitute teachers in our school district, they come to work every day. They're there 185 days. So that, for those who tried to, maybe for some reason, didn't get through the interview process, or maybe they just were looking for a different path in life, this is a home for them through our substitute teacher program. And this is a gentleman that I foresee, I can't tip my hand, but I believe one day he'll be employed as a full-time contract in our school district. He has worked with the counseling center in getting donations from Target. And those donations were used to create a large clothes closet for some of our students at C.W. Lewis School. In addition to that, he's been a mentor, a teacher, a friend, and a coach. And that energy and passion and caring and compassion that he brings to his work every day at Charles W. Lewis School. He had a quote that he gives me. He has a quote that he has, his own personal quote, that preparing each student, that what he wants to do is prepare each student for their lives outside of the hallway. So on behalf of Gloucester Township, this is awarded to Khalif Bruce in recognition of your exemplary leadership, outstanding service, and dedication to the people of the township. On February 26, 2024, provided to you by Gloucester Township Mayor David R. Mayor and Council. In addition to this, you have a citation from United States Congressman Donald Norcross. In addition to that, you have a citation from New Jersey Legislature signed by Senator Paul Moriarty, Assemblyman Dan Hutchinson, and Assemblyman Cody Miller. And in addition to that, the commissioners brought along with them as well a citation from the Camden County Board of Commissioners. Congratulations.
Hey everybody, I really don't need a mic. As Mr. Orlando said, you know, I do this every day because it's a passion of mine. I didn't really prepare anything today, but talk from the heart. I do it for the students, and I always want to do this my whole life. And that's pretty much it before I get emotional. Thank you everybody, I do appreciate it. And for those that's coming up here next, we appreciate you in our district. You know, it's because of us that keep the school the way it is, and it's only moving forward. You know, as a young guy, students look up to me as a motivation, and I plan to do nothing but that. That's pretty much. Thank you, everybody. I do appreciate it. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jim Nash. I'm not good at public speaking. I'm here to introduce Michael Jones of Black Forest Pike Regional School District for his contributions to our community in honor of Black History. So first I'm going to start off. He was nominated by Jolie Scully and Marcy Guy. I'm going to start off with some of the highlights because they wrote some great things about him. Michael's demonstrated a commitment to creating culture within our schools that reflects our students' experiences, meets their needs, and creates connections between community and school. He was integral in the planning and hosting of the barbershop talks for students in collaboration with Legends Barbershop. This event invites students to get free haircuts and refreshments while they discuss topics relevant to helping students manage various challenges they face in high school and as they plan for the future. It's a great, great tool. In Mr. Jones' current supervisory role, he directly oversees the multilingual learner program, which serves the needs of families from across the globe that Gloucester Township has welcomed into the community. Mr. Jones plays an essential role in assessing the growth and needs of the ML program and in determining what additional staff are needed to ensure these students and their families receive adequate support to be successful in school and in life. He supported expanding the program beyond the school day to include home visits, nightly adult classes for parents, as well as other school and home partnerships that will help continue to build the program. Michael Jones is a true mission of improving equity for students in Gloucester Township, Runnymede, Belmar. He understands his potential to have powerful influence on improving students' experiences and is dedicated to maximizing his impact. Very cool. You know, after reading this, you know, it makes you kind of think back to when you're younger, right? We all needed a good role model. Every one of these nominees reminds me of this. It's very important for both children and adults to have strong role models in their life. In fact, coaches, teachers, parents, friends, whoever it may be, they offer a sense of comfort, admiration, confidence. A person that you know you can rely on, and you look up to. Not only should we all have a Michael in our lives, but we should also strive to become. So Michael fits this perfectly. He's both his roles. Barbershop Talk program, his role in the ML program, continues to help the people of Gloucester Township. He goes above and beyond. Michael is a great, great asset to the people of Gloucester Township. Congratulations. Well
I'd like to thank Township of Gloucester Township for this award, for this evening, for this time. Also, the Black Forest Pike Regional School District for education, for the recognition. Also, Ms. Marcy Guy, who is also present with us here, who is Director of Curriculum, and also the Superintendent at Black Forest Pike Region. I'd be remiss if I also did not thank my support. My family over here, my father, my brother, my sister, my wife, my children. They have been an incredible support for me in this journey of education. So if anything else, my family has been my rock. They have been the part of me that pushes me every day, my motivation. So again, family, thank you for this, because I can't do this without you. Appreciate you.
Our next honoree this evening is Pastor Michael Williams of Sheets. I had to wrestle Councilman Carolyn Grace Love for this nomination. I nominated him first. So she's like, oh, I'm gonna do Mike. I said, no, I got first. Too bad. Michael was born and raised in Lawnside, New Jersey. He's a resident of Berlin, where he lives with his wife Melody and 2 children. He is a graduate of Gloucester State College, so Rowan University now, as a biology major. He worked at Cooper Hospital and doing medical research, researching blood diseases. He's a graduate of Lady of Our Lord's nursing program, where he's been a registered nurse for 20 years in the field. He worked in the Penn Health System for 13 years, and now currently works at Bayada Home Health, where he works in the pediatric division. He is a chaplain in the Gloucester Township Police Department. There are some times, and the chief can tell you and attest to you, when we need some faith and we need comfort. And he's one of the individuals that's called upon at all times of the night or all times of the day. Is that correct, Chief?
Absolutely, he's one of the best.
In 2016, he assumed, along with his wife, pastoral duties at the Staging Worship Church on Erie Road. What's impressive about what they do at Shades of Worship Church is that they have a food distribution. And Michael shared with me that he was in the parking lot of the Save-A-Lot on Blackwood-Clementon Road, and God spoke to him and said, "You need to start a food distribution program." In my conversation with him, I knew that they did one, but I was not aware of the level and depth of that food distribution. He reached out to the Center for Family Services here in the county, how they can service our most vulnerable population. He reached out to Harbor Support, which is an entity down in the south that provides support in finding food for those that have food insecurities. He reached out to Mom's Organic Market, which is up on 73, is that? Cherry Hill. Sprouts, which is kind of like Whole Foods on 73 as well, where he goes there on Sundays and picks up food, collecting food. And this food is distributed to the neighborhood of Shenandoah, which is our senior community, 55 and over, located off Kersey Road, to Senior Campus 1, in the Lakeland area, to Franklin Square, which is also a senior community, where they're there for one Friday a month, and they provide frozen food and nourishment to those individuals. And they feed them mobilely as well. They also have a food distribution that takes place every Thursday at 6 p.m. at his church. In my conversations with him, he had said that pre-pandemic, they were doing pretty well. Post-pandemic, some of those volunteers left. And if he could need 2 or 3 people, I think there's some volunteers here in this audience, that could help out. I'm looking for some volunteers, okay? To do the work that he does here. In addition to that, prior to the school year, there was a book bag distribution that was provided to students in the southern end of town, or anyone in town, if they needed a book bag for those to attend school in the fall. And he was ahead of that along with his church and his wife. It is because of these contributions that he was nominated by me. And because of these contributions, you're being honored by Gloucester Township. So on behalf of, in recognition of exemplary leadership, outstanding service, and dedication to the people of Township, this is presented to you by Gloucester Township Mayor David R. Mayor and Township Council. Congratulations, Councilman.
Amen. I'll just make this very short. I just want to thank my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, for who he is, for what he's done in my life, for what he's allowed us to accomplish. Because nothing can get done without him, without his help. He gives me the sustainability, the breath in my lungs, the strength in my bones. Mr. Mercado, of course, I didn't go into a lot of detail, but maintaining this food distribution is literally almost the number of hours that we have to put in is equivalent to a full-time job. In addition to the job and a half that I'm already working, in addition to pastoring. Where do I find the time? I don't know. I feel like I'm in a whirlwind sometimes, but this is what God has called us to do. You just make whatever sacrifices are necessary in order to get the job done. Just want to say, council, we thank you very much. We love you. God bless you forever. Mayor in his absence. Shades of Worship Church, if you wouldn't mind, if you could just stand to your feet real quick. Just give a shout out. Once again, my beautiful wife, nothing gets done without her. Now, I know the parting of the Red Sea was a miracle. Her not wanting to say anything, that's an even bigger miracle. Somebody call an EMT, I'm about to pass out. God bless you, we love you. Listen, I just want to tell you.
You'll get later. You did well when you brought her up.
April 7th, Sunday, April 7th, we will be out at La Cascada, right there off of Blackwood Simpson Road and Law Road. We're going to be servicing the whole townhouse development. We're going out with 350 bags of non-perishables. We'll probably have 800 hot dogs grilled right there for you. We'll have clothes. We're going to have social services information. Anybody willing to volunteer, we need to start taking back some of this territory out here and getting out here and helping our neighbors, which could be your Uncle Bobby, your Uncle Bubba, your Uncle Leroy, whoever it might be. And so we need help. We need help. We have 4 major outreaches where we're going out to apartment complexes and townhouse complexes, and we're going to do our best to service all the families that live in those complexes. And so if anybody, I don't care who you are, if you're retired, if you're a student, if you've got 2 to 3 hours per month that you can donate to be a blessing to someone else, we solicit your help. There's much more that God wants us to do, but we need able and willing arms and legs to get out there so that we can help and bless the humanity that God has called us to bless. So hopefully this will resonate with you. So maybe you'll have a dream tonight or something like that, or maybe you'll lose some sleep. But we're located at 2746 Maryland Road. We would like to hear from you. We would like to hear from you. There's a great work that needs to be done. Outside of the Martin Luther King Day of Service, you got to understand people need help every month, not just once a year. God bless.
I'm not gonna ask you to volunteer. You all do a lot. I'd like to call Sydney Griffin. Come on down. Change the tempo a little bit. We're gonna talk about high school students.
Amen.
Oh,
Amen.
yeah. Now, this high school student goes to Timber Creek High. She's gonna be a graduate class of 2024.
Oh, yeah.
And she's a great representation for the school. She does so many things for other people and for the school and for the township that I'm proud to have her as my person who I get behind. Now, I heard some things about her, but then I also got some things from family members who texted me, and thank God I know how to text. I have a son, and the only way I see him is through text. But anyway, Sydney she's an athlete. And I believe it's, what do you do for athletics? Swim, I think. 3 different sports. For 4 years, so she's really good. And she's one of the original members of the Student Voice Committee. Now, I have never heard of the Student Voice Committee, and I don't know if you have either. Sydney, you want to tell us just a little bit about it?
So the Student Voice Committee is basically, we talk to students in the school about problems and issues that they have, and then we voice them to our administration to basically change the things that they don't like or they feel like are problems. just to kind of build a better community in the school.
It's leadership. She was one of the original members of the Student Voice Committee that she represented her school at the Rowan University Transformative Student Voice Convening in this past May. So it was nice that she got to be the representative of the organization she started at a college already. I think that's wonderful. The program does help young people, but it's particularly those most disadvantaged and connected, which is really important today. We do that. And she creates and participates in a lot of efforts at the school to improve the quality of the school and improve the quality of the students who go there. She actively engages in the convening and she puts her new learning into practice as a student voice leader this year. Her leadership has inspired a lot of our younger students to get involved with student voice. And they help around the school. So she's a real true leader because she's getting others to follow her.
Yeah.
And that's the sign of a leader. I know you don't think of yourself as a leader, but you are. Now, I did hear some other things. She wants to become a doctor. I just remember this face. Yeah, now she's also been accepted at certain colleges already. She's a senior in high school, right? She was accepted at Rutgers University, Seton Hall University, Hampton University. There are 3 major universities, so that's a big thing when you're applying to colleges to get accepted at those universities. I work at a college, I used to. But that's a wonderful honor for her to have. So I was very proud of that too. Now she does have a part-time job while she's going to school. So she's also on the, what is she doing? She's under the National Honor Society. So when you have all those skills, she's not only talented in sports, she's got a mind to go with it, and she has the heart to be a leader. So with that, I congratulate you and I honor you, and I just want to applaud you. Cindy Griffin, in recognition of your exemplary leadership, outstanding service, and dedication to the people of this township. We honor you and we thank you.
I want to say thank you to everyone that nominated me for the award, as well as my parents and my family for supporting me. I know I've done a lot during high school, and it's been a lot, but they supported me and pushed me to do my best throughout all of it. So thank you so much, and thank you for everyone that's here tonight. That's all.
Young and thin now. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know what's going on at Timber Creek, but there's some amazing things going on. Oh, yeah. Okay, now we got that principal to stand up. Principal, right? Say your name again. All right. You're doing fantastic. You're so amazing. When I read Jasmine's bio, Jasmine Lewis cannot be here tonight, but her dad is here. Mr. Lewis, if you could come up, he's going to accept the award on her behalf. But again, thank you for all the amazing students that are, it's just an amazing school. Thank you. So this is Mr. Lewis, and Jasmine was nominated by her guidance counselor advisor, Jordana Simmons. And I read the bio and I just got chills, and I said to myself, the things that these young students are doing exceeds what I did when I was 30 years old. I was never on this track, but you know, we get there. We all get there. But these young students are amazing, and there are leaders that are going to go beyond. And I don't see her just as what's on this paper. I can't wait to see her in amazing. I also saw her in politics on this long history. But I'm going to share with Mrs. Simmons, who wrote on behalf of for Jasmine. I'm gonna let you hold this right here. Just hold. So Jasmine Lewis, they noted that she is a highly motivated, intelligent, and overall great student. That's how the sentence starts out. She is a standout member of the Student Voice Committee, very much just like Sydney. Sydney, are you guys related?
Yeah, we're
That's right. And it is in that environment that she truly thrives. From presenting to the group's ideas to administrators, presenting to adults in the symposium, and in sharing ideas during meetings to her peers, she has a strong voice that she uses in a positive way to try to create a better school community and ultimately allow each person to celebrate and share their culture. In addition to her student voice, Jasmine is also a member of the class of 2024 Executive Committee. She's a part of the Interactive Club, the Future Medical Professionals. She's a National Honor Society. She's also a part of the African American Culture Club. And like I said, how do you guys do it? Don't know. It goes on to say she has also participated in the girls soccer team, the girls lacrosse team, and is a 4-year varsity swim team member. When Jasmine is not participating in all the above, with any free time she may have, which we don't know where she gets it from, she can be found working at the Bear Paddle Swim Club as a swim instructor. And in volunteering at James W. Lewis School as a tutor for struggling students. Jasmine keeps herself very active, yet she always finds time to volunteer in community events such as the Martin Luther King Day of Service. Every year she does that, every single year. During the fall and spring festivals and many, many more, Jasmine is a well-rounded student and caring and mature young woman who is destined to be great, and I'm sure you're very proud of her. And the school says that they are very proud of her as well to call her a charger. And a little bit more about her, she's also a senior. She has been accepted at Rutgers University, Morgan State University. She's been accepted at the University of Maryland. I'm sure there's some more that we didn't cover, but she is well on her way to much success. Excuse me. Let's see here. Anything else we want to cover? You want to? Okay. Okay, wonderful. So what I want to do now is just read this here in honor for Jasmine, for Black History Month. Jasmine Lewis is in recognition of your exemplary leadership, outstanding service, and dedication to people of the town. On February 26, 2024, Gloucester Township Mayor and Dayton Mayor and Council congratulate Jasmine Lewis for being would you like to come up and take a picture along as principal since she's not in her honor? Come on up, come on up. Some of these, it's good better you hold up. I'm sure she would love to see you in a picture. Here you go.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Let me get my mic right. All right.
I apologize for not being here today. She has a stomach bug. She want to get everybody sick. However, she wanted to thank those who nominated for this award. She stated that it's an honor to be honored for such a prestigious award during Black History Month. Thank you.
We will now have a musical selection by Melanie Thompson of Shades of Worship Church.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Song says, here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you are my Lord. Just want to say to all the nominees, especially those young people, just touches my heart to see them work so hard. It blesses me. So, here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. So here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. See, I'll never know how much it costs to see my sins upon that cross. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sins upon that cross. So here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down, and here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy. You're altogether wonderful to me. God bless you.
Good evening. I would like to call up Tammy Dash. We were gonna give up this. So Tammy Dash, I had met a few years ago when our boys were playing baseball. And Tammy and her husband would be there for
And Tammy would be cheering on the kids. She knew all the kids' names, she encouraged them, and she was just an aspiration for them. So that next year, I had the pleasure of working with Tammy. Tammy came to Lauren Fleming as a social worker, and I was a nurse, so we were roommates, basically. I had my nurse's office and she was right next to me. So whenever I was having a hard time with a student, she just took over for me. I was like, oh, thanks. So she knew. So we formed not only a coworker bond, but also a friendship. We would talk about our kids, we would talk about our families, what we were doing, and she just became a part. So the following year, during that time she was with me, she was also at 2 other elementary schools. So she split her time between the 3 schools, and I'm not sure how she kept those kids together or what day she was going where, but she did it. And then the following year, she went to Blackwood, and she was upset. She was leaving Lauren Fleming and all the people she knew. But I said, they are gonna love you. Blackwood is going to love you. They're gonna love you there every day. And they did. She's an extraordinary person that I am privileged to say that I know her and have a friendship with her. With that, she's raising her young son Darius. He's a respectful young man that I have him now, so it's a pleasure to see him every day. So not only does she take care of the kids, then she comes home to her teenage. So I just want to read some things that were sent in. Her nomination. She was nominated by the principal, Alexander Ferrante from Blackwood. So I can just read. When considering someone for this honor, we wanted to recognize someone who continuously goes above and beyond to impact those in our community positively. Our nominee is responsible for supporting and nurturing the mental health of our students, families, and staff. As education has identified and shifted to supporting the whole student, we have recognized the impact of anxiety, depression, trauma, addiction, and many other contributing factors to one mental health. Ms. Tammy Dash is our go-to person as a licensed clinical social worker. It is the person who makes the impact on our community. I can't speak enough of what Mrs. Dash means to our school. Together with Mrs. Coggin, our school counselor, help all of our students deal with social and emotional mindful that we call life. Whether it's dealing with issues that arise in the student's life outside the school, the digital environment of social media, or student-to-student interactions at school. Mrs. Dash befriends our students, becomes their trusted adult, helps students process their emotion, and mentors the students' social and emotional development. If you're a staff member at Blackwood Elementary School, you probably had a conversation with Mrs. Dash regarding students you identify in your classroom needing support, or ask her for advice for issues you might be struggling with in your own personal or family life. Mrs. Dash makes herself available to our students, teachers, and parents. I can recall many stories where Mrs. Dash has told me a teacher or a parent reached out to her during an evening or weekend. Who came to the rescue? Mrs. Dash. Sometimes it's a true emergency and Mrs. Dash leaps into action and rallies a team for support. The fact of the matter is, Mrs. Dash is always there. In a world where we recognize mental health issues, we would be lost without Mrs. Tammy Dash's knowledge, guidance, and compassion. There is no other person that has a big of an impact on our community. Ms. Dash can work with any of our 577 students and the 75 staff members or the countless families represented in our school. And I also have one for Ms. Hopkins. I have been blessed for the past 5 years to work with Tammy Dash. As our school social worker, she and I have tackled some pretty issues facing our children today. She understands the mental health system and how to navigate the complexities that come with it. I have learned so much from her and continue to do so every day. Tammy amazes me with her ability to make deep connections with students and their families. She is always there for teachers and questions and concerns they have. She never hesitates to jump in and help anyone where it's needed. Above all, Tammy genuinely cares about every individual and will drop everything, whatever she has, to attend to them. I am so lucky to call her a colleague, but more importantly, a friend. And I'll probably more. Mrs. Dash is someone that I can always count on. She's reliable insight, and she gives her complete effort into anything she does for her students. I can count on Tammy whenever I need her ideas, input, or advice. I am proud to have Tammy, not only as a colleague, but a friend. So through this, you can see that she pours her heart out into this, with the kids, with parents, with teachers, with staff, and she makes a world of a difference. So I am lucky to present her with the award for exemplary leadership, outstanding service, and dedication to the youth of the township. And it's a pleasure to work with her every day. My green super.
I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight. Thank you, council. Thank you, Tara, for presenting me. A week ago, I laid my mother to rest. She is peacefully laying beside my father. My husband and I are transplanted here in Jersey, so I literally have no family here except for my family over there. And half of my Blackwood family who showed up here for me today. It has always been a passion for me to work with children because I feel like, you know, they didn't ask to come into this world, and the only thing they have to do is survive it. As times have gone on and on, it's been more difficult for our students. COVID, social media, things of that nature. And for me, I just want to make sure they are our future, and I want to make sure that they're, you know, here for us, as I tell them all the time. When I'm old and decrepit, I'm relying on you guys. Please don't raise my taxes. And they all look at me and go, we don't know what taxes is. Truly. However, you know, I feel thankful for this award. I am, I know my parents are looking down on me now, I'm very blessed. My husband is somewhere over there. And my son also, I have lost him. Oh, there he is, videotaping this for my sister and my family down south. So, thank you so much.
Good evening. Good evening. So this is pretty ironic that I would follow somebody with the last name of Dash. Because as I look out in the crowd, I see a fine friend who gives one of the best speeches I've ever heard in my life. And I try to mimic it and reiterate it, but I can't do the justice. I hope maybe tonight people get a chance to hear about the Dash. Great, I almost threw your thunder, but anyway, I'm a man of quotes also. I love quotes. So one of my top 5 quotes is, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Martin Luther King Jr. I have the pleasure of introducing and bringing up Mr. Eric Butler. Butler looking dapper. He's accompanied by his mother, Valerie, his daughter, Ariana, his wife, Deanna, his son, Blake, and his mother-in-law, Mrs. Flowers. Mr. Butler was recognized by Miss Chelsea Shiloh from C.W. Lewis. Mr. Butler is an English language arts teacher for the Gloucester Township Public School District for 9 years. He's also, all his effort is given back to the students and the community. He's a lead organizer of our Black History Month celebration at C.W. Lewis. His responsibilities include his role being giving daily morning announcements, celebrating the contributions of notable Black authors, scientists, and lawyers. He also assists in setting up celebratory displays of Black culture and success, as well as help organize the Black History Month Wax Museum, where students dress up and act like important figures in Black history. In addition to being a teacher and involved in academics, he's also an assistant basketball coach, which he was at C.W. Lewis
for 3 years before taking on the role at GCIT, which he's been doing for the last 2 years. And he's also coached the track team for the past 4 years. Now, did you coach with Mr. Bruce?
He actually replaced me as season.
Oh.
Me and Mr. Bruce connect all the time.
Very good, very good. So I did ask him if they did win any championships, and he said yes. So GCIT was the Tri-County champs this year. So congratulations to him on that. He also co-piloted our Young Men of America's YMA. He's facilitated opportunities for young men to give back to their school and community through various social projects, including the Martin Luther King Jr. Daily Social Project, where students made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the needy. Now, I believe in something Council President, how did we take it? Got over 900 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, if I'm not mistaken.
1,300.
1,300, I'm sorry. Okay, well, 1,300, that wound up all over the truck, that's okay. Mr. Butler's dedication to giving back does not end once he leaves the school. In fact, Mr. Butler has spent most of his life giving back in various ways, either as a teacher, fraternity brother, or a church member. He has served as a parent, coach, and consultant for the South Jersey chapter of New Jersey Orators. I did ask him what an orator was, and that is somebody that he coaches public speaking, which I think is fantastic. Because in today's day and age, it's hard, especially some of the youth. I have 2 of the children that live in that technology world, computers and laptops and cell phones, and that's how they communicate. But what you do, that is fantastic. And I think public speaking is an art. So congratulations on doing that. Mr. Butler has performed his own original poetry on legacy for the Pi Mu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority's annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast. Now, this poetry, it doesn't consist of roses of red, violets, and blue, right? It's not a bunch of getting depth with that, right? What is it?
I said indeed.
What is most important and impressive about Mr. Eric Butler is his poetic and empathetic heart. He's a poet by not only trade, but also in the way he perceives the world. He's a role model for all who encounter him, especially young African American and Black children who see themselves in him and aspire to be him. Mr. Butler, you did it. Congratulations.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see the network come out and support each other. It's a really good feeling. I have a couple things, a couple people that I want to say thank you to, so just bear with me real quick. I'll make this fast. Before I get started, I'd like to thank God for this evening where we are able to celebrate a legacy of excellence under the umbrella of Black History Month. I'd like to thank, again, my mom for being my rock, my support system, my wife, Deanna, always being there for me, my children, for being supporters and being there for me to lift me with joy whenever I need it. And my mother-in-law always being solid for me too. So they're here to always by my side wherever I go. Sometimes they say, "You brought your whole family with you?" I say, "Yeah, my whole family." I'd also like to thank all the distinguished guests that are here, Mayor in his absence, and the Gloucester Township Council for putting this celebration together. This really means a lot. I'd like to thank my superintendent, Mr. John Bilodeau, and my building principal, Mr. Ted Otten, for giving me the opportunity to do the great work of an educator here in Glowtown. It's truly been an amazing experience thus far. There's a quote I like to live by. I'm a man of quotes as well. The quote says, "You change the world you live in by your example, not your opinion."
Good.
That's deep. All right. And that's the way in which I have approached my profession, modeling good character and integrity for the students that I teach. Moreover, in reflection, I ask myself daily, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough of my position? Am I doing enough of my platform? As so many have come before me with the intent to empower this nation to embrace a sense of unity and humanity. Receiving this recognition is confirmation that I'm headed in the right direction. Not only is it confirmation, but it's motivation to continue educating scholars, coaching athletes, mentoring young people, and dedicating time to serve communities, or this community
that thrives in improving the condition of its people. So, without further ado, I am both humbled and honored tonight to be recognized along with so many others that continue to fulfill the dream of creating a more equitable future through service. Thank you all very much.
I'm not a great storyteller, but I'm gonna share the story anyway, on how I noticed the Embrace Restaurant before I introduce Mr. Hicks. He is the owner, pastor, chef, and has a great restaurant here in Gloucester Township. So I was out one day shopping, and I'm a nosy councilwoman, and I noticed we had a new business. So, but I'm messy, my hair is messy, I have sneakers on, sweats, but I said, you know what, I'm gonna go in there anyway. So I go inside the restaurant, and I'm like blown away. It's amazing inside, it's beautiful, the ambiance. I think that day they were playing jazz music. And I'm saying to myself, and also I have Southern roots. So I'm from the Carolinas, and it's hard to find wonderful Black-owned restaurants with that ambiance of the Hampton area or the Virginia area. So I'm in there and I meet Miss Hicks, and she talks to me for a while. And Mr. Hicks was so focused on the business and getting his customers. We didn't get a chance to talk, but I was so amazed and so excited about the business that I left and called all my family members. And I called my friends in Virginia, my military friends in Virginia, Colonel Michelle Hammond. I called all of them because they were coming down for my wedding and they love to eat. So I made sure that you were on the top of the list of where they were gonna eat for breakfast and lunch and dinner. So I'm so excited. But I wanted to also, you can come up now, Mr. Alex Hicks, so we can, when I saw you on my list for nominations, I was like, oh my God, I'm glad to. So you can hold it. I'm sorry to hold it, and I love making pictures. And I also want to introduce also our military folks here. If you can just stand up. So grateful for you, and you can come up as well. Second chance. Thank you. Just let them come up. Okay. So I want to first say Mr. Hicks is a wonderful, wonderful person. He is a pastor, chef, and owner of Embrace. He lost his business. I guess it was a business before going through the COVID, and he came back even stronger. You know, so you can see the tenacity, the hard work, the dedication, that wanted to do the things that he's doing for the community. Alex, like many others, he gives back to his community. He's guided by a vision from God, inspired by his wife, who's also military and police officer. They opened Embrace Restaurant where they combine their ministry, their generosity, and delicious home cooked meals to create a spa-like atmosphere. When I say it's a beautiful restaurant, please go there tomorrow. It is. You can unwind and dine. It's there that Alex serves our hometown veterans for complimentary Wednesdays. Alex created a serene atmosphere that heroes feel safe to share their story, restore their spirit, and bask in a peaceful environment that is Embrace. I love that. Is that how you came up with your name? Yes. Also, Alex feeds several disadvantaged and displaced families at Christmas time. Employs folks who have made some mistakes in the past, but are seeking a second chance. At-risk youth also find a home at Embrace as Alex provides mentorship to give them lessons in etiquette and to promote the good works of service. So we are very proud and honored to have you all here at Gloucester Township. Again, this is his wife, Mrs. McKean, who serves at the New York Police Department and serves her country, both Desert Storm and Desert Shield for 22 years. Sergeant Toppin, E7 retired, did I say that correct? And Petty Officer 3rd Class, Bethel, E4, medically retired. Okay. Abdul Kamal. Yes, we thank you so much for all that you're doing for our community. So let me read this out loud. So the Black History Month Award presented to Alex Hicks in recognition of your exemplary leadership, outstanding service, and dedication to the people of our township. February 26, 2024, Gloucester Township made Mayor Day, our mayor and council present this award to you. This to your wife. This is from a citation from the state of New Jersey. Okay. And this is from the Camden County Board of Commissioners to Alex Hicks. And we thank you again for your service.
I'd like to thank God first for this opportunity. I'd like to, give honor to the Lord for being in a position to bless people's lives and to give them an opportunity to see God in a different place than out the four walls of the church. I honor David Mayer, who allowed me to be a part of his pastoral board at several meetings, and one of the officers back here who's a part of that as well, who we meet at the Lamppost Diner. And it's just a blessing to be a part of a community that has faith and that trusts God. The first prayer breakfast I came to here in this community let me know that I was in the right community, in the right city. For 20 years, not even knowing that, the police department prays, and found out that they have probably one of the most least crime in the area of the whole state. So with that being said, it's an honor to be here. I honor my wife, my support. I honor the veterans that are here, Mr. Abdul and the Second Chance Program, someone that has been on our team for several months who, you get certain people that just won't have a chance or an opportunity to get a job because of your past. But with opportunities given to people, you can see the blessing of God that can come out of a person and out of people that you can bring out of them. And I'd like to also honor, my spiritual mentor, Daniel Okafor. You can stand, Daniel. My brother-in-law, Van Brown. My mother-in-law, Miss Ida, and my other brother-in-law, and one of the chefs at the restaurant, Mr. Raymond J. God bless him. And I just want to thank God for everything, and I would like to pray for this community right now. Father God, I thank you, O Lord, that you are God. I thank you that this is an opportunity to give you glory. I bless this city, I bless this community, and I ask you, O God, to let your hand of blessing and approval be upon this state and this region, that no weapon formed against it would prosper. And all that we have been given and honored to today, the glory goes to you because you give us life. You give us breath. You give us activities of our limbs, and you let blood run warm through our veins on a daily basis. And Lord, we just say thank you, and we give you honor in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Before we honor the next Kent. I just wanted to also say at the last hour, I asked Mr. Hicks if he could bring in some food for us. And he's just amazing, and he has, you know, I'm sure it's gonna be delicious. I'm gonna be the first one in line, but I just wanted to share that we do have some food for everyone here from this restaurant. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite up Mr. Timothy. This is, goes by Lee, not Timothy, but this is Lee Mims. He is a Gloucester Township resident who was nominated by the mayor. The reason he was nominated is he performs a lot at Gloucester Township events, and he has much more talent than I do, obviously, because he plays guitar, keyboard, and bass. Started all of that, not surprisingly, in the church. You know, he was at a young age and learned all those things. Asked him about singing. Not quite. He's the proud husband of Ursula for the last 22 years, and we talked about that a little bit yesterday. He was saying it's nice to hear couples that are together for periods of time, because you know we don't see that as much as we should in this day and age. So it's nice to see and should be recorded. And his wife also helps with the Lee Mims productions, since he does a lot of his talents and different things. So he, you know, she helps to manage all that stuff for him so that he can spend his time performing. He has two boys that he's very proud of, Adon Lee, who's 17, and Adrian, who's 14. He's been a police officer for 21 years. Started in Chislehurst, they moved to Georgia, and his wife went from home. So needless to say, they're home. He's back at the Chislehurst department, and he does community police officer and the former DARE officer there. Using those skills and talents with community police officering, he uses those abilities with his neighborhood, which is in Brittany Woods, and he helps with the neighbors, the elderly, the young, anyone that might need help, you know, with anything at all, he's helping with. In his nomination, it said basically he's giving kids advice for bullying, helping with lost pets that are out there. And even being an extra basketball player, you know, when you need to get out the teams, you know, you need one more player, you know, there's someone available to help out. And he comes to lend a helping hand with whatever might be needed, and sometimes it's just lending an ear, you know, to be that person to listen when someone needs to talk. He performs at a lot of different Gloucester Township events, mainly the farmers market. Recently, the GT Juneteenth celebration. He can also be spotted at the farmers market selling his books, because he's the author of 2 different books also. So the one is 365 Days of Happiness Through Preparation, Perception, and People. And that is used by the field officers during their training, during these trainings. They also utilize his second book, which is The Voice Behind the Badge, which deals with the challenges of being a Black officer in current times. So he's able to take his experience and you know, encounters over the last however many years to help others and help them hopefully learn it maybe sooner than he had to learn it, you know, because someone can teach it to them a little sooner and they can learn those things and use that in their everyday life. And it helps them to relate to others and care for people with respect and understanding. So it sounds to me, I wouldn't mind, you know, be a good neighbor. You know, I wouldn't mind you coming to my neighborhood and helping out and being involved in the neighborhood. But it's nice to see that there is a neighborhood that is able to take him and embrace him, and utilize his skills and his abilities and his wants to help. So I congratulate him, and I'm honored to be able to meet him.
My number is so I'm just gonna go out order to very you've been in front of people, she can attest to this, no matter how much in front of people, it's always new. Like
every time. My son said, well, Dad, you do it every day. I'm like, well, it's not 70 or 80 people. One or two people. I like quotes as well. I'm just gonna copy off the last two people that. And by 47, I'll be 47 in April. I've acquired a little bit of knowledge enough to do a piece of things. So without unity, I say there's no community. So I'm kind of a nerd. So if you actually look at the word phonetically, take unity, there's no community. Yes, like and I learned that from my parents, and this is where I forgot who said it, but you get a little touchy feeling the older you get, like the rock hard dude, it softens up because things happen. You lose people. So my grandmother is gone, probably one of the most influential. I've only teared up maybe 5 times. But that's the reason I tear up, because that lady, you know, when you get to that point, if you haven't, it feels like no other feeling, because you can still hear these folks. Like when you're about to do something, I'm raising my boys, do little things a little different. Old school, it works, but it doesn't damage in other places. So I can hear my grandma, that Siri, tell me I was raised. My grandma, you know, she was really short, and she would tap me, maybe feel tall, I'm only like 5'8", and she would reach up and she felt my temper coming as a kid. She would tap me. And I'm raising my kids. Everybody knows teenagers can get you there. And I can feel her saying, I don't do it like that. Don't do it like that. So them two big head boys stand up. It's not the accomplishments of degrees that count as you get older. It's the kids. Like when you go to the school and they're like, let me tell you how much I love these kids. And I'm like, what did they do? But it's never what they did. It's what they want them to keep doing. They're such an inspiration to me. I learned this as a kid, the whole community. I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot to gather myself, because that whole grandmother situation, still dealing with that. It's only been going like 2 years, and I lived with her my whole life. So as a child, I ran into a bad experience and for law enforcement. And you know, this is not about law enforcement, but Chief can attest to this, and the New Yorker can attest to this too. The job chooses you. The guys that you see in the news, they went after that job. But for those of us that this chose us, we love everybody. We want to help everybody. Like I literally almost came in here with my off-duty weapon, and I was like, everybody should be good. I'm not needed. But Chief, you get it. New Yorker, you get it. It's like it never stops when I'm out in the neighborhood. It's not the flex, sergeant. I don't care about none of that. Are you okay, sir? Are you okay, ma'am? Can I help you? And that's what I got from my grandma. That's why I'm feeling some type of way too. I didn't think I would. I thought it was great. As Gandhi said, be the things that you want to see. So I remember I had that pivotal moment in my teenage years, and this is going to my sons and whoever else was listening, but them two kids should be listening. I had a chance to be bitter, or I had a chance to be better. And I chose the latter of the road. We're all going to come up against some things in our life, and we have to overlook some of the foolishness to get to the greater parts. This led to my career in education and law enforcement. The music I play, the more fun stuff. The music I play is entitled Soulful Instrumentals. I'm not specific to a genre. If you look in the left part of your program, which is weird, I was already there. We talk about different factions and different genres affected. And I took that along with my wife. I love her to death. She said, listen, go out here and do what you do. And I was like, well, nobody's gonna want to hear soulful instrumentals. Most people want to pigeonhole you, like you're pop and you're jazz and you're gospel or you're, but I'm everything. All of us are everything that we listen to, everything that we take in. So that's what I do, and I was allowed to do that at Harlem Park. And that happened by accident. I came over to this building
to ask could I get in the gazebo for $60. And then I ended up meeting Andrea, and then somehow I landed in Harlem and a few other towns around here. I'm thankful to my sons mostly also for inspiring me to be better, as well as my wife. And my other person, she don't like to be seen or heard, she probably buried her head, that's my mother-in-law. She's the rock, she'll tell you, yo, you can do it, just get out there and do it. I'm telling her back there in the back, then I might have to go to the bathroom, I'm nervous. She's like, you better get up there. So I'm almost 50 and she's still telling me. I just want to thank everybody for this. It's very awesome. And although I say things with levity, this is a very serious moment and I appreciate it. Thank you, God. Thank you, man. Thank you again.
Okay, so last but certainly not least, let's bring up Fedora Ajay. So Fedora is a senior at Triton High School, and she had 5 people nominate her for this award. The one thing that I noticed in looking at all the 5 letters that were written from Samantha Spalding, MJ Chambers, Mary Jenkins, Jim Frank, and then on behalf of Melissa Shepherd and Paul Summers, is that there's a lot of adjectives to describe Fedora. And reading this, it seems to me is that one day she's going to be a coach, whether that's in sports, academics, in life. And you'll feel the same way when I get done saying all these wonderful things that were said about Fedora. So Fedora is all the things that an advisor can ask of a student, but she's more than just immensely talented, highly accomplished, or greatly involved. She's also more than a tireless worker, dependable, respectful, or any other of the other platitudes an advisor would commonly use to endorse students. She also has a unique ability to make those around her want to do and be better. She's the type of student that inspires those around her to be better, do better, and expect more. Fedora was an integral part of the student council of Triton. She's constantly developing activities to build school spirit while helping keep the club organized and focused on helping the less fortunate. Fedora was a role model for younger students and always went above and beyond to assist in any way she could. Fedora is an engaged and hardworking student. Her sense of maturity, her sense of humor were continually on display. She agreed to do a taste test for a group of students, but she's also real. So the former presidents come back and they gave her the recipes, and she said, yeah, I'll do the taste test. And the first one she tested, she said nope and walked away. So you see, she's not afraid, she's not intimidated. She's always willing to help and volunteer. She also would like to attend law school and become an advocate for women's and immigrant issues. So I asked her what schools did she apply to. She said she applied to 12 schools. And I asked her, what school do you want to get into? And she said, University of Chicago. With that said, she did get accepted into 2 schools, 2 top schools, Rutgers being one and Princeton the other. Fedora is involved with many clubs at Triton High School, in addition to singing with our audition vocal group, so we have another singer in the house. She serves as one of the officers for the class of 2024 National Honor Society and the Key Club. She's also a talent performer, and she's been involved with the fall production and spring musicals. So I asked her if she was willing to sing and give tonight the national anthem. She said maybe just take a rain check. She's also involved in the community. She took part in giving away free backpacks loaded with school supplies and meal kits to the community. She exudes maturity, grace, and intelligence. Any college or university would be fortunate to have a young adult like Fedora walk on their campus. She's a tenacious individual in the face of challenges. Fedora constantly demonstrates a determination to overcome obstacles and achieve goals. This resilience and grit make Fedora not only an asset in academic pursuits, but all aspects of life. She's truly admirable. Fedora is a remarkable individual who possesses a rare combination of tenacity, altruism, loyalty, focus, and intelligence, especially involved in our community. And then along that, other with those things, she's also a lunch bunny while still maintaining a 4.0 GPA.
Amen.
Council, Gloucester Township.
I'll try to keep it short. First, I'd like to thank God. I wouldn't be here without him. I'd like to thank my mom. I'd like to congratulate everyone who received an award. I look up to all the adults up here to be like you guys one day. I love giving back to my community. I love helping people. There's nothing that brings me joy more than that. And honestly, I didn't go into giving back to receive an award. I did it because I just truly enjoyed it, and seeing people happy, seeing people on the street, seeing people healthy, just making me happy and glad. And it's a blessing. And I hope to continue that when I get into college. So yeah, thank you and congratulations.
Before we hear from our county commissioner, please all stand up. On the back of your program, we're going to sing together. Just hear your voices sing. Ready? Yeah. Sing to earth and heaven, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it bring sound out as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the darkness has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. All right.
Good evening, everyone. I am Commissioner Al Dyer. And all the honorees do, please stand up. We give all of them a round of applause.
From New York, and my sister-in-law, Dan. Thank you for coming, my brother. It was like a ghost when I saw him walk in the door. 5.5 hours away. Thank you. I love
If you had to come, you might do the same. So, Madam Chair, fantastic. Nice. I really, as commissioners, we go through a lot, and we go through a lot of these events, and they all are special. But this evening was very special because it had a lot of education focus. Yeah. And that's good that we had our young folks up here, and that's very inspiring for everybody. And, Mr. Bruce, is he still here? So as I sat there and I listened to all of these great folks and all the testimony that these folks came up with and said about all the honorees, it felt like somebody told me sometime when you're in that deja vu moment, you feel like that's because you're sleeping. You ever heard that? So I'm saying that to say, you were me. Coach basketball was sub. I subbed for a couple of years, and I coached basketball, and the city of Camden kept trying to get me to be a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher. I just wanted to coach. And so I kept subbing, and then one day I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go to our alternate group and get my sub-cert so I can become a teacher, because coaching, they saw that all the kids were being inspired by me, especially because the fact that I was homeless all from high school. So for you, I'm just saying that was inspiration just to hear what you're going through. But I'm gonna say this to you. I don't want it to sound like I'm bragging. So as I got my cert, I started coaching. I started coaching high school basketball in my community. And I became the all-time winningest girls coach in my high school history. And so I say that to say, continue what you do. And it's not just about the basketball. I went back and got my master's. I became a principal and athletic director of career and technical education. And I retired last year. And I had the black beard like you had before I retired.
No, you didn't.
25 years of service as a public school educator. And turning 55, I said, you know what? I gotta inspire them to do other things. I sat there and almost teared when I heard your story, because that was me. And somebody put their arm around me and said, man, now you gotta go and start educating these kids. So whatever you need, basketballs, whistles, or just anything from me as a commissioner, whatever you need. The alternate route program, anything you need, I know some people West left. To take that next step. Don't short yourself, don't short your community, don't short the student, but you gotta get it. And if the kids are inspired by you and they listening to you, you coaching as a sub, that's a great thing. And just keep pushing. And like I said, here's my card right here. I have a bunch in my pocket. If you need anything from me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for this. Awesome, right here. County Board of Commissioners, my two colleagues, Jenny Betteridge and Commissioner John Young, we want to thank Gloucester Township for having us down this evening. This was a great program. I truly appreciate it, and I will be back next year. Thank you.
That concludes our program. We can have all the honorees come up here. We'll grab a picture. We're going to be splattered all over social media for the next few days. One more quick announcement from the chief. He has an open house that he'd like to talk about.
First, let me just say, I am honored to be here amongst you pillars of the community. It really is a great night tonight. And we have connections being made here tonight. And, I believe the Lord works in mysterious ways for sure. So I normally give a director's report at the end, and I ask special permission from Council President, and I appreciate it, sir. We are having an open house for the Gloucester Township Police Department for hiring. We're in a hiring cycle, and I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to tell a room full of people, these great people, these winners tonight and all, if you know someone who wants a career at a great police department in a great community here in Gloucester Township, we have an open house right here in this room this Wednesday from 3 to 5. Please, also Rennick is in the back. We'll be giving you a flyer to take. If you know a young man or woman who ever has an interest in law enforcement, come learn about us. We will be here. We're looking for good men and women. We need good men and women to serve as police officers here in this community. Council President, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Congratulations to all the award recipients. Really a wonderful night. Thank you.
If we can have all the recipients, please come up here and grab pictures. Thank you.
Hey, Chief. Real quick question. Oh, you. How you been? Good. Chief.
Hey, Chief, quick question. Do you have to live in the town?
We have positions, special
I know it was a tiger in the house when I see one. What do you think you're gonna work? How much money are you trying to earn? Guess what? You need to go to school or trade or something. Stay on this treatment and work out. Don't be afraid of that. The more you stay on right now, my parents are 19 years old, because he was graduating his dad, he was bullshit job, and this, that, this, bread, this, Hey, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. That's what you can run a board now. You know what I mean? I don't know if you like it. You graduate. That's my job to go through it like that. Yeah, we all have something. Hey, listen, that's all you say right now. You doing at the top over there, right? Yeah, what's that for real?
Congratulations. Yes. That's awesome. Are you like plugged into the notes and everything?
Right now,
That's awesome.
Praise God. Praise God. Appreciate you, man.
All right, my darlings.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it. All right, thank you.
Madam Clerk, may the roll call again, please?
Mr. Mignon?
Here.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? Here. Mrs. Grace Love? Here. Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters? Here. Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Prado?
Present.
Mr. Carl here?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
Chief Harkins? Mr. McGill?
Here.
Mrs. Eric?
We'll have the first public portion. This is for agenda items only. Anyone addressing council may speak one time. Once all those wishing to address council have had their turn, they may address council second time. Only if it adds to what was said earlier, not repeating prior statements. Anyone like to speak on the first public portion? Ms. Henry.
Good evening, Dina Hendry, Summerdale. I'm currently asking if this meeting can be postponed due to the fact that the agenda was not posted until after 12 o'clock today.
That is a request.
Kindly, only because the township does a really great job in ensuring that the agenda is posted 48 hours before each council meeting. I went on Saturday, looked to see it so I can review it, and it wasn't there. It was a long 73-page bill list. Unfortunately, the township building is closed, so I could not come to take a peek at it here at the wall, nor could I come today before or after work because I was working and went to a school board meeting. The agenda was not posted until after 12 o'clock today, so therefore I couldn't even put a eGov question if I had a question regarding the agenda, especially the fact that we are going to be talking about the budget, and that's large sums of money. And myself and other citizens would truly appreciate if we postponed this whole entire meeting due to the fact that we, the citizens, did not have a chance to review the agenda as it was not posted.
I apologize that it was not posted. It was requested by the clerk to be posted on Thursday. It did not make it to the website. It was posted at 8:52 a.m. This morning. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes, it wasn't on there, that's because the computer needs to be.
Yeah, I looked at 9 o'clock before I went to work and it wasn't there. It wasn't until after 12 o'clock. I mean, I understand things happen. I honestly do, especially when you're relying on somebody to do something for you. The thing is, where is the checks and balances to ensure that it's done properly? Like, I send an email to a team member and there has to be something where you're checking to make sure that it's done, especially when there is a large population and counting on this information to be reviewed.
So the capital budget, this is the second reading of the capital budget.
True story.
It was introduced at the last meeting. Nothing has changed with that capital budget. There is a hearing that takes place for that, and there'll be ample time if anyone would like to speak on that capital budget. If any of my colleagues would want to table this meeting and not move forward, please speak up. I guess we're going to move forward.
Okay.
Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the first public portion. Waive the reading and accept the minutes of reorganization January 3rd, 2024, workshop January 8th, 2024, regular session January 8th, 2024, and January 22nd, 2024. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? Abstain. Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is ordinances, ordinance 0-24-02. There will be a public reading. It's a public hearing. There's a second reading. Ordinance amending the Gloucester Township Land Development Ordinance 0-21-09, the Villages of Gloucester Township redevelopment plan and the new Vision redevelopment area plan. This allows the township to amend Part B of Section 3, local taxation, to provide for quarterly reporting of marijuana sales. So therefore, Part B of Section 3, local taxation, shall be deleted and amended and replaced that the chief financial officer, controller, or licensed accountant for the marijuana establishment shall file with the CFO of the township a quarterly report of gross revenues for the licensed marijuana establishment for each quarter of the current year. This tax that's imposed by this section shall be paid for the given calendar year to the CFO of the Township of Gloucester no later than the first business day in February. And payments are pursuant to this section shall be accompanied by a report that certifies that is true and accurate by the CFO, controller, or licensed accountant for the marijuana establishment, showing gross revenues for the licensed marijuana establishment for each quarter of the preceding year and the corresponding tax obligation for each quarter. We'll now open up the public hearing. Anyone like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. May I have a motion, please? A second, thank you. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Vignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is ordinance 0-24-03. Bond ordinance authorizing the completion of various capital improvements and the acquisition of various pieces of capital equipment in and for the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $9,137,419. Therefore, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount of up to $8,702,303, making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. We'll now open up the public hearing. Anyone like to speak on this matter? Mr. Sweet. Mr. Sweet, as we've done in previous meetings, there is unlimited time, but we ask you in 5-minute increments. If then, would someone like to speak after you? They will speak. If no one's speaking, then you will continue your 5 minutes.
Okay. Sam Street from Muriel. Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Have a couple questions, I guess, regarding the capital projects, some details. First one is we're buying miscellaneous office equipment, we're replacing 5-year-old desktops. How many of those are we replacing? And who's getting them?
So they are following a plan. That's one of the questions I had, Mr. Sweet, as well. So I believe, bear with me for 1 second. So they're running a 3 to 5 year period, 3 to 5 year cycle of replacing those computers. Bear with me, computers and monitors. And they're replacing 33 computers of the 145 that the township currently has in service. The 33 computers are slated that are 5 years or older. Those that are slated for replacement. Usually the standard IT practice every 3 to 5 years, and they're rotating this. The computers are mixed throughout the township and are located in every department.
Okay, thank you. 72-inch zero-turn diesel mowers. We outsource a lot of the landscaping to Marksman Landscaping. So how many of these diesel mowers do we need?
Mr. Carvis, is that something you can answer?
I don't know about how many we need, but the ones that are in here are necessary because the supervisors have indicated that they need these to cut grass. If you're talking about the contracts that are awarded outside, that is for landscaping of the building and maintenance of the retention basin.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking is we have, well, after we borrow for these two, we're gonna have 9 of these diesel mowers. Starting in 18, we borrowed for 2, they cost $39,000. 19, we borrowed for 2, that was $39,000. In 21, we borrowed for 1, it was $19,000. Last year, we borrowed for 2, that was $27,000. And now this year, we're borrowing for 2 at $54,000. So the price has increased, that doubled from 23 to 24 for those diesel mowers.
That's the price.
Okay, because that just seems
That
that,
surprised me because we are cutting all the fields, we're cutting Beck Park, we're cutting Gloucester Township.
well, I'm more concerned, one, about, how many do we need, which hasn't been answered, and two, last year was 27,
I believe that we have what we need and this satisfies that.
so last year was 27,000 for two, this year is 54,000 for two, that's a double the price. I realize inflation is taking place, but 100% inflation, I think that price is a little high and should be looked into. Wouldn't council agree with that?
Well, please continue.
Recycling carts. How many do we need for the township? I mean, I know the township's big. Are we getting new ones? Is everybody getting a new one?
Mr. Carter?
No,
Because in 19, we borrowed 64,000. 21, we borrowed 32,000. 23, we're borrowing 32,000. And 24, we're borrowing 32,000. So that's $156,000 on recycling carts that we're borrowing, so. And I haven't gotten a new one since I moved into the township. So I'm just wondering why we're borrowing all the money for recycling carts, and how many do those recycling carts, how much is 32,000 buying a recycling cart?
it's around $50 or $60.
And we need to replace that many recycles, or are they going to new homes, or what, why do we need that many and borrowing every year for them?
I would say new homes and replacements, but also people buy two. I have two myself.
Buy two?
Bought an extra one, yes.
Okay, all right. We borrowed $500,000 in 23, and we're borrowing $500,000 in 24 for the Black Box Theater. What exactly, I know it's a Black Box Theater, but what exactly is going there, and when is construction going to start on that? Because, $500,000 last year is just sitting there, and now we're borrowing another $500,000. I don't understand why we're not borrowing when construction's ready to start, and why are we borrowing it every year and letting it sit?
Take a pause. Is there anyone else like to speak on this? Ms. Coyne?
Ms. Coyne, Shoes Lady. Under F, improvements and upgrades to various township buildings, $1,182,613. Can you tell me what township buildings are getting improvements and upgrades?
Bear with me for 1 second. That was also part of my questions that I had earlier, that I forwarded to Mr. Cardis.
That's section.
I'm talking about my questions here. Are you able to answer that one?
Well, I mean, if you go down the list of 25 items listed on section F.
No, I think she's looking for something more in depth than what's there.
Well, she said $1 million.
1.1 to, okay.
$1,182,613.
That wouldn't be something specific, that's really general.
Have you seen the capital budget for that section?
No.
Oh, okay. So, generators at Public Work, resurfaced the hall roof, the municipal hall roof. Kawana's bathroom upstairs, police department for 4 new offices for detectives. Making improvements to Old Public Works, painting outside the garage and a new roof for the Old Public Works. Lighting for the pickleball court lights, Gable Tavy's Tavern parking lot lights, outlets, LED heads, the hall, paint the walls of the police department, recreation center, revamp the building on the inside, the community center, revamp the inside of it, LED lights in the buildings, security cameras and card swipes, Hicksdown Community Park, revamp the 3 fields, the TBA parking lot light, 4 poles for lights, the pool with epoxy coat, the police department to replace and fix 7 slop sinks, the clerk's office for new carpeting, pool, replace the feet on tanks and filters, defibrillator tech, lifeline AED, door access system upgrade, and storage and filing improvements for the office of the chief of police.
Okay, so the money that's going towards the old Public Works garage, is that in addition to the money that was already borrowed for that?
Mr. Carson, can you answer
Yes, yes, that would be in addition to.
Okay, thank you.
that? Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this matter? Yes, Ms. Smithman.
This is for the regular agenda?
Yes, well, no, this is on the hearing for the capital budget.
Then I'll come back when it's for regular agenda. My apologies.
Does anyone else like to speak on this? Mr. Sweet? So you had a question about the black box. You want to start with that again?
Yes, construction, to my knowledge, has not started or anything on that. So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, we borrowed 500,000 in 23, we're borrowing 500,000 in 24. How much are we gonna borrow in 25, if any, and how much is this whole project gonna cost, and when does it start?
Okay, so that's a lot of that. I'm gonna tell you, and maybe Mr. Carson can tag in on this. The renovations are gonna be completed in phases. And phase one's gonna entail exterior renovations and some partial interior renovations. So that exterior renovations are gonna include some work to the exterior stone, repair to the slate roof, have new roofing and new windows. The exterior renovation also includes a new main entrance, which is gonna have reconfigure the stairs. Some interior renovations include ADA accessible toilet rooms and a new wheelchair lift.
When are we starting with them?
Do you have a,
I do not have a time frame.
that's something you could provide Mr. Sweet and also members of council?
I can do that.
Thank you.
So if we didn't start it in 23, which obviously we're not, and we don't have a time frame in 24, why are we borrowing ahead of time?
Mr. Carter?
Not borrowing ahead of time. There is some work that has gone on inside that building.
Okay, it has $500,000 that's $1 million of work.
There is additional work, as Mr. Mercado had just pointed out.
I understand, but we don't have a time frame on that,
You
so,
have to have funding in order to move forward to award contracts.
um,
So this ordinance, once it's in place, provides that funding to award contracts. So then we would go out for bid after this is approved.
okay, but this council has proven time and time again that if it needs money, we can go out and borrow it on the drop of a hat. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying that you've proven that with the insurance claims of 2 years ago, where we all of a sudden had a bond ordinance for $4 million. I can go down the list of many other times where we've.
Can you let him finish, please, Tom?
You guys have shown that we can borrow it at a drop of a hat. My problem with this is we don't have a time frame on it. And I'm not saying that it doesn't need to be done, but I don't think we need to borrow it ahead of time. We're early borrowing it, and we're paying interest on it. And then at some point, and especially with today's interest rates where they're at, I mean, 3 years ago when they were 2-3%, okay, maybe, but now they're 5, 6, 7%. So it's a waste of money to borrow this money and sit on it and not, spend it per se, and not even have a timetable. So I just think council needs to really look at this capital projects that we're asking $9.1 million, and there's other examples. The municipal hall, you brought up the building, you said $35,000 for the municipal hall coating. Why are we recoating the roof when the roof was just replaced in 23? And then along those lines, we've now borrowed for this roof $380,000 since 2017, and the roof only cost about $228,000 according to invoices.
I want to apologize. That's repair of the whole roof, not recoat. I apologize. It should read repair.
Okay, so my question still stands. Why are we repairing a roof that we fixed in November? But it says the hall roof, municipal hall roof.
The roof you're referring to was the facade roof. It is out front. It is a mansard style. Familiar with mansard? If you notice, there was work out there several months ago. All that was replaced in front of the building and partially along this side of the building. That's what that expense was for. This is for the actual roof itself on top.
Okay, but that explains 2024, but doesn't explain why we borrowed 2017, 170,000. We borrowed 2018, 25,000. In 2019, we borrowed 25,000. 2021, we borrowed 100,000. And 2022, we borrowed 25,000. All under municipal hall roof, town roof, court roof, which is all the same roof. Now, I know there's different areas of the roof, but the roofs that was fixed with I have invoices for only $218,000. So we borrowed $345,000. Why are we borrowing early and not fixing the roof to begin with? Just another example.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this capital budget? Mr. Sweet, please continue.
So, I mean, does council have an answer to that? Is anybody questioning that?
Anyone? Guess we're fine with it, Mr. Sweet.
The engineering designs, I guess, and the engineering inspection. How is the engineering inspections calculated? Like, how are they billed?
Are you referring, is there something on the?
Yes, the capital projects, you have on the different capital projects. For instance, you have Cedar Creek has engineering inspection, $10,000. Colonial Court, $4,000. Madison Drive, $13,000. How are they calculated, those bills?
Mr. McGill?
Why a percentage and not an hourly rate? Okay, so could they come in below that? So if the higher the job, so if you have a $200,000 job, you're saying it's a percentage, and it's a straight percentage for budgeting purposes. Okay, so what's that percentage? All right, so a $200,000 job is going to budget $20,000 for inspection. All right, but you bill hourly. At the end of the day, when you actually do the inspection, you bill hourly. Okay, so we can't determine how many hours that beforehand for better budgeting. Like, I mean, is that easily? It's called it's.
You're gonna know exactly how much you need.
I believe Remington Vernick has been doing this a long time, and I believe that they would know. Okay, Mr. Curtis, you asked me a question. I would appreciate it if you actually listened to the answer before you interrupted me.
Can we not step over each other, please?
Okay? So, I mean, with all due respect to Remington Vernick, you guys have been doing this a long time. So you can look at a job and say, okay, for budgeting purposes, because my problem is with these engineering inspections is not the price, but are we actually going to be getting the engineering inspection done this year? Because if we're not getting to these jobs this year, then we're borrowing again for a job that's not being done, and we're paying interest on that. And I stand up here every year and say this: when we borrow money, it hits the bottom line of the budget because we have to pay that back. Mr. Cardis has sat here immensely and said we have to pay the debt service back. By borrowing this and early borrowing it and sitting on it, we're wasting money. We're wasting taxpayer money. And I just don't understand why. And every year there's never an answer. And now we have several new council members, and I would like to know what you guys think of that. We're wasting money by early borrowing. I heard that they're planned for construction, but
we're now in February, so when are they planned? Is there a schedule for them planned? And then how long is it going to take them to get done and then for those inspections? Because I'm pretty sure that when I went through some of these lists from prior years, a lot of these sums haven't been done. And they wait, you know, when I say haven't been done in the year that we borrowed for, okay? And I don't understand why we're borrowing for this year, the inspections, almost like $190,000 for inspections. And I'm not saying it's not worth it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not worth it and it's not something that needs to be done. But if we're not getting to like 3 or 4 of these jobs until the inspection in 2050 or 2025, why are we borrowing for in 2024? I think council needs to look at these jobs and come up with a better way.
I think he just mentioned that it was scheduled for 2024, correct?
That's correct.
Scheduled, but we,
They will be completed, they are completed, every once in a while, I say that maybe adjustment, they're all on schedule.
I understand they're being scheduled, but if they're not, just because they're scheduled,
Do you have a list of the ones that weren't completed, that were budgeted for, but we did not complete?
Mr. Cars, hold on. Does anyone else like to speak on this capital budget? Ms. Coyne?
Denise Coyne, Choose Lady. I just want to clarify something that Sam said earlier that wasn't really responded to, that's concerning to me. And the figures escape me, it's late, but he said that we borrowed for the municipal building roof multiple times, and that the receipts that he has, that he was provided by the township for that money that was borrowed is less than the amount that was borrowed. But now we're borrowing again for the roof. Did I hear that correctly?
Mr. Cars?
I don't know what he's referred to. He mentions the 18 capital budget, he mentions the 19 capital budget.
Well, essentially, what
The majority of the money that was budgeted for the roof was for the mansion roof outside the front of the building and around the sides. That was just completed, I believe, 3 months ago.
okay, but he mentioned specific figures, saying we borrowed X amount of money, then X amount of money, then X amount of money, and the receipts were, I think, $100,000 less than the money that was borrowed, but now we're borrowing again. And he asked if anybody thought that was concerning, and nobody said that they thought it was concerning. I think it's concerning. Nobody else thinks that that's concerning?
I don't think either of us up here are experts on pricing of roofs, and I don't know if you guys are, but I don't know what a total price to replace a roof would be. It's sure something we can look into, but is it $1 million, $750,000?
I'm not talking about pricing a roof. I'm talking about.
Finished, Ms. Coyne. He wasn't finished.
So if we look over since 17, 18, those projects, 20-some thousand, 30-some thousand, I don't know what sections of roofs that has been done. I trust the supervisors who are planning these projects, but I don't know what the total cost of this roof would cost. Do you?
I'm not talking about a total cost. I'm talking about you go to a bank and you tell a bank I want to replace my roof, and the bank lends you $100,000 and you spend $50,000 of that. And then you go back to the bank and say, excuse me, can I have another $50,000? My roof needs more work. So now you have $150,000 for a roof that you spent $50,000 on.
And I think you're speaking of a solo roof, where this is a multi-level roof with multiple different sections. I don't think he said for $25,000 they replaced the entire roof. It sounds as if they're replacing portions of the roof over time.
Exactly, but the receipts, the cost for that roof should equal what you borrow before you go out and borrow more money for something that you didn't spend the money that you got that you already borrowed on. And you're borrowing more. That's concerning. That doesn't make sense to me.
The money in this budget.
Thank you, Ms. Cars.
And we do have change orders on those, correct?
I mean, historically, I don't know what happened in the.
There's always change orders on everything.
I will tell you that the money was appropriated.
Okay, but is there any record keeping where you show that I borrowed $200,000 to replace a roof and I've only spent $75,000? So I have money left over I could still spend on that roof?
I don't have records showing what was appropriated in 18 and 19, what might have been left from those appropriations. I'm going by the fact that the supervisors are telling us that this is what the estimates are, and this is what it's going to cost to make the roof safe. And that's what we're budgeting.
So they ask you for more money and you don't know if you've already spent the money that you already borrowed?
If we had money available for the roof, we would not be borrowing the money that we're borrowing.
Then why can't you produce the receipts for the money that you borrowed?
What do the receipts do for the need to fix the roof right now? And the fact that we have money appropriated in this capital budget to fix the roof.
Because it shows that you still should have money left over to fix the
We do not
roof.
have money left over for the roofs.
Well, then what happened? Why don't you have the receipts to show that you spent the money?
I didn't know, I needed receipts here. I don't have receipts. I'm sorry.
You don't have receipts for
I
money.
didn't bring receipts to this meeting from 2018 to 2019.
That's not what I'm asking.
What are you asking?
I'm asking if you borrow.
If we had money left over.
Are you gonna let me finish? You asked me a question, I'm trying to answer. I'm asking if you borrow $100,000 for a project, do you like have a folder that says roof? And any receipts for that roof go in that folder and you keep a running track of how much money you have spent of that $100,000 before you go out and borrow more money and you haven't even spent the original money that you borrowed. That's what I'm asking.
No, I don't have a folder with receipts in it.
I don't mean a
Thank you, Ms.
folder,
Boyd.
I mean keeping
Is
track.
there anyone else who would like to speak on this?
Thank
matter?
you for being respectful and answering my
Thank
questions.
you.
Ms.
Appreciate your
Smithman?
questions.
Hello, good evening, council. My name is Shaughnessy Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens apartment complex on Millbrook Court, apartment 341. Is the council required, I would think, in some way to show proof of where the money was spent? I believe that the term is called, it's termed receipt. Proof of purchase, correct? Proof of transactions, money.
Excuse me for a second, Ms. Smithman. Ms. Coyne, can you please keep the chatter down? I'm trying to listen to Ms. Smithman here.
I'm sure you can hear. No, you're actually listening.
Ms. Coyne, please show some respect to the speaker and also council, please.
Respect? How about you respect me?
Yeah.
You allow Mr.
Ms.
Carter to
Smithman.
talk to me like that?
But please wait.
And I'm not supposed to be angry.
I'm here to reinforce what Ms. Coyne had just said. My name is Shaughnessy Smithman. And I would think that the council would need to show in some way a proof of purchase, which I believe the technical term is called a receipt, correct?
Yes.
And is that not required?
So if there's work that's performed, there is a receipt or an invoice.
All right, I may ask what Tom C. Cardis's title is
He's the business administrator
is for this transaction?
for the township,
Okay, can you repeat the title again?
the business administrator.
Okay, as a business administrator, was he aware that you would need a receipt to show where funds are coming from, especially on a government type level? I mean, I know that individual boroughs and townships and cities are, can kind of go by their own policies. They don't necessarily, are not restricted to the exact rules of the state or the federal laws, but it's still a part of a government transaction. I would think he would need a receipt. I've been audited several times. I would think he would need a receipt to show any transactions, whether it occurred on a roof, whether it occurred at any time for any transaction, especially an amount of, what is the discrepancy of more than $50,000?
Ms. Smith or Mr. Carter was saying he did not have receipts here with him tonight.
Or do the receipts exist? Because the way I heard it, he didn't have the receipt at all.
He indicated he did not have receipts with him tonight.
Will he say that?
Mr. Cardis, you want to restate what you said earlier?
I'm not sure where we're going with this because, I mean, we follow the state procurement statutes, in order to purchase anything. We adhere to the bid thresholds, approach thresholds. We when we purchase anything, we have a purchase order. We don't pay it till we have an invoice attached to that purchase order. Everything is audited at year end, especially all the individual capital accounts. The sub accounts are also audited, and any balances would show in any particular audit year. Ms. Aaron is here, our CFO, she can corroborate this.
I didn't hear that the receipt existed. Does he have a receipt for the purchases that shows the amount borrowed?
Receipt is an invoice, ma'am.
Yes.
You pay based on an invoice. They bill you, you get an invoice. It's attached to the purchase order. Purchase order first is a requisition. Then it becomes a purchase order with an invoice on it. You then pay based on that purchase order with that invoice. We certify. We receive the services and or goods. Once we've done that, we then make payment to the vendor.
And the invoice will equal the amount that you borrowed, that Gloucester Township borrowed to repair this roof.
It may or may not, has nothing to do with that. Has to do with the payments made on the job. The job could come in under, the job could come in over. It is possible.
So the
These
way,
are estimates. Some of them are very good estimates because it may be, as Mr. Sweet pointed out, a lawnmower, which they have the exact estimate. It could be a road, as Mr. McGill pointed out, that we estimate what that road is gonna cost.
but does the invoice reflect that you spent the amount that you borrowed before you borrow more money?
The invoice represents the amount you spent for the job.
Not me,
Whether it's acquiring
Gloucester Township.
something.
Ms. Smithman, please allow him to finish.
Well, he's referring to it as,
Ms.
I don't have a
Smithman,
business.
Please allow him to finish.
Whether it's acquiring something or actually doing something like construction of a road, construction of drainage, construction of a sidewalk. Yes, there are invoices, you get billed.
I'm asking if you have an invoice for the project that is being presented that you're borrowing more money for. The invoices will
It's not
reflect,
invoiced yet, you have estimates.
you didn't answer the question at all.
Ms. Smithman, is there
Thank
anyone
you,
else?
Councilman.
Your time's up. Ms. Hendry?
Gina Hendry, Summerdale again. I work in simple numbers. So this roof that we're talking about of, we say that we're gonna borrow and whatever. Do you borrow in segments? Like the right side of the roof cost X.
I'm not sure I understand the question, borrowing segments.
Or phases?
In phases, yes. Like, so do you do the right side first and then the middle and then like the left side?
Typically, the borrowing is a factor of the bond ordinance.
Okay.
The bond ordinance authorizes an amount that you cannot exceed in terms of borrowing. So in this particular instance, because we won't be permanently financing this, what we'll do is when we're ready to go out for the projects, we will take a note out,
Okay.
probably a 1-year note.
Okay, so say for instance, the note is $100,000. I don't know the exact numbers. I just work in nice big round numbers because that's easy for me to digest. So say it's $100,000 and the job comes in, you get invoiced for $80,000, but yet you have $100,000 sitting in the kitty. Where does that $20,000 go?
You would, when you go to renew the note, you would not renew the note for the amount you did not need in terms of that particular project or expenditure.
So then therefore, every time that there is a job and that we're asking for money, then all the receipts and all the invoices match out and then will equal zero.
I'm not sure I follow you, to be honest with you.
So say for instance, you ask for a bond for $100,000. The estimate comes in for $100,000, but yet the invoice comes in for $80,000.
It wouldn't happen right away. It would, once you borrow the note, if you borrow, let's pick yours. You borrow the note and there's $100,000 in there for the roof. You only need $80,000. So that note is going to carry on for 1 year and it's going to mature. At that point, you either renew the note for the same amount or a lesser amount and you make your interest payments.
Okay.
So in that case, because the project came in under, I would say you would not borrow in the note for that amount. That you don't.
So then you borrow for $80,000, but yet the invoice and your receipts say, you know what, actually, there was a really great sale on shingles, so therefore it's only $60,000. But yet you borrowed 80. Where does the extra money go? Does it pay back the note?
No, now you're moving the number. So it was 80, you're saying it's 80, now all of a sudden it's 60. So it went from 100 estimate to 80, and now it dropped to 60. So if it's 60, then you wouldn't borrow the other 40 if a year from now you didn't need it because you did the roof for 60.
Okay, so why is it seeming that we're always borrowing again for the same jobs? I think that's where the confusion goes with everybody here, that it's a job for the roof, but it's not specified whether it's the right side of the roof, whether it's the middle roof, or whether it's the other side. It's not specific and it's not detailed. So I think that's where the confusion is that we keep borrowing for the same jobs over and over again, but we have the question of where is this extra money if we're coming under in the job?
There were roofs listed here that are not this roof. They were listed for the old public works building. We have what, 12, 15 buildings, not even counting concession stands. There are a lot of roofs out there. So I don't know where particularly these roof spots are. Bob Tyshak, my supervisor in charge of buildings, would know that, but I don't have that information right now. What I have is what his estimates are, what our needs are.
I think going forward, I think it would be beneficial if it was detailed, where it's just like the building here. So therefore, there is no questions, and it will alleviate some of this back and forth because it's not detailed enough. And that's, I think, the reason why a lot of the residents have questions on where's the extra money going.
It is detailed. It does show it in the detail that Mr. Sweet has that you do not have. It's in the bond ordinance. It's the detail that Mr. Sweet has and what we have here. And it does show next to each one of the items, the particular building that those roof repairs will be made on.
Got it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Back to Mr. Sweet.
Sam Sweet from Ariel again. Councilman Nash, I'm not saying I know what a roof costs, okay, because I don't, and we don't know. My question is more along the lines of, in 2017, we borrowed $170,000 for the municipal roof. That's what the detail says on that. So I can only go by what the detail says.
You gotta address President, not directly
Okay.
Mr. Nash.
May I?
If he'll like to respond to it, then we'll
All right,
respond.
so, fine. So it's $170,000 that we borrowed for the roof, the municipal roof in 2017. The municipal roof then was not fixed until 3 months ago. We borrowed again $25,000 in 18, $25,000 in 19, $100,000 in 21, $25,000 in 22, and now we're borrowing $35,000 in 24. Now I realize it's a large roof, but why did we borrow in 17 and did nothing to the roof for 6 years? That's 6 years of interest, 6 years of wasted money that I think everyone would agree here. And that's my concern, is not what the roof costs, okay? But we're borrowing for it early, well in advance, and we're waiting 6 years to do that. That's 6 years of interest, all right? At what, 3%, and it's interest only? And then at some point, I believe in 17, that loan was permanently financed because it was bonded. So now we're paying off.
Can you let him finish, please?
So now we borrowed in 17, we permanently financed it in 2021. And now we're paying that off, and we didn't do anything until 23.
Yes.
Do you have facts that show that we did not do any roof improvements in 17, 18, 19, 21, 22? Do you have facts showing?
Yes, because we asked for
I'm
it.
gonna check that for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna get back to you.
All right, well then if,
Can you let him finish, please?
sure.
I'm gonna check that and get back to the council because you're making an accusation that we budgeted money in 17 again. Was it 17, 19?
17, 18, 19, 21, 22, and now 24.
I will go over that with Bob Tyshak and I'll come back to the council and I'll give them
Now, as far as.
You're correct.
Understood, and I don't, but when I asked for the roofing invoices, that's what I got. So I can only go by what I'm asking. I want all roofing invoices from this year to this year, and this is what I get. And then I get, oh, well, the 17 one wasn't done. The 18 wasn't done. 19 wasn't done. And now it's done in 23. That's what I'm getting. So either A, that. So I'm pretty thorough in what I asked for, and it was pretty self-explanatory. So either A, the facts that I have are correct, or B, there was an Oprah violation because I wasn't given everything that I asked for. And if he comes up with other things, that will be an Oprah violation.
Okay.
So I think there should be some concern there because, again, council's not being transparent. So that's the issue with that.
Okay.
You're not being transparent. You borrowed $170,000 6 years ago, and the roof wasn't fixed until 23. Okay, fine. I don't care that the roof wasn't fixed, but you borrowed the money for it and you sat down on it. Which leads to my next question: if with Ms. Henry, if we borrow $100,000 for the roof and it comes in at $80,000, we still borrowed the $100,000. Did we pay? It's most likely those are interest only because they're bond anticipatory notes. So they're interest only. So when it comes in at $80,000, we spend the $80,000 on the invoice in this small little world, right? You still owe $100,000. So when you renew the note, unless you paid the $80,000, you're renewing the note for $100 because the bank's not going to say, oh, it's only $80. Well, we're going to lower it down to $80. The bank's going to say we still need our $100,000. Correct?
Can I remind you something? Yes. The state of New Jersey Division of Local Government Services put out a notice actually encouraging you and other government entities, other councils, other borrowing entities to cancel that to help the budgets. That was put out in a local finance. I believe it was 2020 or 21. Sarah.
And you provided that. You provided that to us.
Call
Mr.
that
Speaker, take a seat.
finance
See if anyone else
notice,
would.
speak.
And you provided that to council at that time.
I did absolutely.
Ms. Smith. People over here.
Yeah.
They-
I just said it's getting chilly. It's like they.
Where is that, area, they're saying? Oh. Okay. Yes.
Hello, Council. My name is Shaughnessy Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens apartment complex on Millbrook Court, apartment 341. For this budget, what is the ordinance number?
Ordinance 0-24-03.
Thank you, President Mercado. Are these funds allowed to be transferred from what the request for the money, if they borrow the money, do they have to actually spend it where the request for the money was?
Scars?
No, it can be amended to move to another line item, or it can be moved to, for example, on the streets, you can add additional streets that were not originally named in the ordinance.
No, not
For
streets,
equipment,
the roof.
Buy additional equipment that wasn't named in the original ordinance.
I asked because on, I believe it was February the 20th, 2024, there was a Gloucester Township planning work session where there was a request by someone in Gloucester Township, somewhere near Timber Creek Court. I live in the FCK Millbridge Gardens apartment complex. I just attended the meeting because the public is permitted to attend. They were given a number written on a piece of paper, most likely close to the amount of the discrepancy of this roof that you're speaking of, probably close to $100,000. You wouldn't happen to be, well, they were told to speak to, that they had to pay that amount before they could build 16 homes on a cul-de-sac. and that they had to speak with Mr. Thomas Cardis on the Gloucester Township Council. And like I said, they wrote down, they were at this table here, they wrote down a large number on a piece of paper and handed it to them. The public is not permitted to speak at Gloucester Township planning meetings, and I'm fearful to interrupt. I just observed what I could and listened when I could. Sometimes I got a little closer when they started to whisper. But that would be considered money laundering, wouldn't it, if Mr. Cardis was involved somehow in transferring funds for an overborrowed amount to?
Hold on, Tom, please stop. Ms. Smith, there's not money laundering taking place. Let's go back to this budget, capital budget.
Well, that's what I was asking about.
No, there's no money laundering taking place.
The amendment is very similar
If you're able to make budget transfers, you could change line items.
but he doesn't have proof of where that money is going. He admittedly, by not answering a direct question for 10 minutes of council time between Mrs. Coyne and myself, asking if he had proof of where that money was spent. And I just find it so strange that it was pretty close to the same amount, which is close to $100,000 of government funds. You're borrowing money from, you're borrowing money to spend it, you're saying on a roof. The roof was repaired for much less than the amount that you already had, and then you're borrowing more money almost at the same time. Like I said, it was February 20th, 2024. It was a planning council meeting. They started at 4:30 p.m. There was a lawyer. He also has a different position. And Mr. Bach, he was speaking with the builders, I guess they would be called. I don't inquire too much. I'm just a member of the public, but it would probably be pretty similar to this amount. That would be considered money laundering, wouldn't it?
No.
No. All right, I guess I don't know.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else? Anyone else would like to speak that's not spoken yet? Mr. Sweet.
Mr. Curtis actually never answered my question. If we borrow $100,000 and the bid comes in at $80,000, don't we have to pay back the $100,000? And if we don't use that $80,000 or that $100,000 to pay it, and if we cancel it, the project, not the debt, we still owe them $100,000. I don't care that New Jersey says that what their rule is of canceling projects. All right. My question is, if you borrow $100,000 for a roof and the roof comes in at 80, we still owe that $100,000 to the bank, correct?
Again, there's different ways to borrow money. There are notes and there's permanent financing.
Okay. In my little scenario right there, if we borrow $100,000 in a bond anticipatory note, we borrow $100,000. The bid comes in at 80. We pay, right? We still owe $100,000 to the bank.
Let him finish, please.
Finished?
I'm asking my question. I want to be clear. If we borrow $100,000, we still owe the bank $100,000, regardless of whether the bid comes in at 80,000, whether we pay 80, whether we pay 70.
I agree 100%.
Okay.
I didn't say anything to the contrary.
You did. You said when we go to renew
Sam, he was responding to you.
Okay, but he's.
Not Sam, let him
When the
finish.
note matures in 1 year, you can decide whether you want to lower the amount that you borrow if you roll the note over. So if you borrow for 1 year, you borrow the $100,000, you must pay it back. Nobody forgives you of $100,000 that you borrow. What I said though is if you borrow again on a note, which we often do, we roll the note over. You don't have to roll the note over for the entire $100,000. You wouldn't roll the note over for the $80,000. That's what.
Okay, but you have to pay the $100,000 back before you do that. That's not what you said the first time. We can go back to the video, Mr. Cardis. It's not exactly what you said.
Really? What did I exactly
Yes.
say?
You said we can renew the note for a lower amount.
You agree with anything?
Okay? I agree that you're very good at your job and a little too good, and you like to talk circles without answering the direct question. That's what I believe. Okay? All right, it's not a curmudgeon.
Yes.
All right, it's not a curmudgeon.
Can we
It's
please
called,
continue?
when we talk about respect, all right, you're gonna allow them to talk to me, call me a curmudgeon and a malcontent, Mr. President Mercado?
Mr. Cars, can you refrain from making any comments?
I will certainly refrain from making any further.
I appreciate it.
You said that this note that we're borrowing for 9.1 million will not be permanently financed.
I didn't say that.
I wrote it down. You said it will not be permanently financed.
I said it will be a note initially, and it could very well be permanently financed. We have quite a few notes that are outstanding that are rolling over year after year that have not been yet combined into a permanent finance. So all notes will eventually become a permanent financing unless you're able to pay those notes off. You're required to pay them off over a 10-year period. You cannot roll a note over past 10 years. And after 3 years, by law, you must begin to make principal payments on any note. Am I correct, Ms. Aaron?
That is correct.
Thank you.
You also stated that you don't have any records. I don't understand how he doesn't have the records, but yet I do.
He doesn't have records of with him this evening.
That's
what he had stated, Mr. Sweet.
No, he stated that I don't have records going back to 17.
Mr. Sweet, please let me finish. That Mr. Cars did not have the receipts with him today. He said he will go back and take a look at 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, and 24 is this year. That's what he has stated.
I don't have a folder with receipts. You can check the tape,
We can,
please.
and you know we will. Why do some jobs not have an engineering design where others have an engineer, like for instance, Coles Road has an engineering design, an engineering inspection, but there's no construction?
Yes, and then we'll see if anyone else would like to speak. Please sit down, Mr. Sweet.
Mr. McGill, correct me if I'm wrong, some of these projects were designed in the prior year and are going to construction this year. When they go to construction, the only thing you need to budget for is the actual construction and the inspection. In other cases, there is just design listed because we're designing that road in order to put it into next year's capital for construction and inspection. Is that correct, Mr. McGill?
Correct. In the instance of poles, we're designing and building at the same time.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak during this hearing? Mr. Sweet? Can you provide an estimate of how many questions you have remaining, Mr. Sweet?
It depends on what is said. I have about 4 or 5 questions.
Depends on what is said. Okay.
I may have questions on what's said. So, like, need clarification on Coles Road. I have an engineering design of 66,000, an engineering inspection of 55,000. And you said that road is now going to be completed this year. All right, but we're not borrowing for that road?
That road being funded by DOT, so we don't need to borrow for construction costs. Not the trajectory.
Yeah, I'll defer to Mr.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not trying to gotcha, but I'm trying to understand.
We have a grant from DOT, so that'll supplement the construction costs. However, we still need to put in the budget the design and the inspection.
And then would I assume that bill is going to be about $550,000 since the engineering inspection is 55,000?
I have to look, I think our original estimate was 600,000, and I think we're going to look at trying to provide this to approximately.
Okay, Highland this year, Highland Avenue has 125,000 of construction, 12.5 engineering inspection, but there's no design going back. Okay, but there's no design plan?
I just went over that whole thing with you.
So I need clarification of it.
There are some projects that you'll see just construction and inspection because the design took place last year in last year's capital.
Okay, but Highland Avenue doesn't have a I went back and doesn't have it's empty from last year. There's no design, engineering design on Highland Avenue in 2023.
If I'm not mistaken,
There's two Highlands, yeah.
one in Glendora, one in Ariel, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, but
Glendora is good for construction this year.
Okay, but Highland Avenue in 2023, it's blank. And then this one says construction, so I'm just wondering why there was no design, but
Thank you.
God bless you. The schedule of projects to be completed in 2024, are they all scheduled to be completed and engineering inspection?
Mr. Carter, Mr. McGill? What are you referring to? Street projects?
The street projects, so all the projects, yes, all the projects in 2024, the street projects that have engineering inspections. We have all these street projects about totaling 1.5, almost 1.5 million.
When we discussed the capital budget with Mr. McGill, that was the
Okay. Hampton Road has 2 engineering designs. Is there a reason for that? Both for $12,000, one in 23 and one in 24.
You said Hampton Road?
Yeah. Hampton
14th, okay.
Hampton was removed from last year's program because there was potential for utility work to become along there, so that was replaced with this road. And that was again, and just put into this budget, for potential for doing design. There still is a chance for utility work, so that may get pushed again, but that was in 23.
So you're saying that Hampton Road was originally in 23 and then had to be pushed back?
It did not get designed, yes.
Okay, but if we borrowed for it in 23, why are we borrowing for it again? And I know that's not your.
It was, that was allocated for another road, so I think, so.
I don't recall what it was allocated, it very well could have been, and I think I pointed that out earlier. The question was, are you allowed to, are you stuck with everything you say you're gonna do in each one of the line items of the bond ordinance? And I said, no, you're not. You can change, you can add roads, you can subtract roads. In order to amend, if I wanna move money, you get into budgeting 101 here. If you wanna move money from the roads section to, let's say, the police section, you have to amend the ordinance. So you would have to have an amending ordinance and a public hearing. If within the police budget, in that section, the chief decided he wanted to buy a license plate reader, let's say, and he had adequate funds left over to do that, he could do that under that budget.
And doesn't need a bond ordinance.
He doesn't need an amendment because it's under that section.
I'm aware of that.
I don't mean to just throw your chief out there.
Monticello Drive, it's called Monticello Drive Weep Hole retrofit, sorry. In 24, we're borrowing 55,000 for construction, 6,000 for the design, and 5,500, well, 5,500 for the inspection. In 23, we borrowed 44,000 for the design, and in 22, we also did 55,000 for construction, 6,000 in design, and 55 in inspection. So now that's 3 different times we borrowed for the same project.
And it indicated a weep hole retrofit?
Yes, all Monticello Drive Weep Hole retrofit.
Ms. Carter, you able to respond to that?
No.
I'll try to get us some information on that. Mr. Sweet, what are you shaking your head for, sir? So, well, your time's up. Anyone else would like to speak on this matter? Okay, Mr. Sweet, please continue.
I was shaking my head because I've been doing this now for I don't know how many years, coming up here with the capital budget. You know that I'm gonna go through it, compare it to last year's to the other years. You guys have stopped borrowing for weed whackers. You guys have stopped borrowing for leaf blowers because of the constant borrowing of that. Now we're doing this, and I just don't understand how it's not looked at. How council doesn't notice that we're borrowing $55,000 in 22 for the same project in 24. And if he says, well, we canceled the project, okay, well, is there an email? Is there something telling the public, hey, we canceled this project, but yet we still borrowed the money because the bond anticipatory note was, as we've asked Mr. Carter several times, each time he borrows the whole amount in whole, And then it sits there. So now we're borrowing money again. And it goes back to every year. We're borrowing money. We're either early borrowing, over borrowing. I haven't even gotten into the over borrowing because in 24, I can't really do that until 26 to find out what the jobs cost. But last year I stood up here and I asked for $12 million worth of invoices, and I got back $8 million. That's the $12 million that we borrowed, that this council borrowed, authorized to borrow, and $8 million was actually spent on invoices. That's 33% increase. So that's over borrowing of $4 million, and that's only on my little sample. So if we extrapolate that out, it's probably about 20, 30 million of over borrowing at interest rates. And interest rates, as Mr. Cardis and I have gone back and forth with this, the debt service increases, and we cannot not pay our debt service, and that's a way around the 2% cap of real estate taxes, and we're paying money on some projects that aren't even done. Now, do I have a list of all the projects that aren't done? No. Can I get one? Sure. But a lot of these projects are done 2 years later. The hockey rinks. Paving of the hockey rinks were done 3 years after we borrowed for the money. The library still doesn't have a new bathroom that we borrowed for in 2015. Constantly. So here we are, we're asking for $9.1 million. How many of these projects are not going to be utilized? I know there's a schedule. I know where you want to, and the best laid plans of mice and men, but every year, how many projects of that money that we borrowed in 23, how many projects were not done, were not completed? And I'm not asking you to know that off the top of your head, but I'd like to know that answer. I'd like to know also in 22. And I think you can get that for me at some point.
No, I was just telling Nancy to write that down.
You guys are constantly over borrowing and early borrowing. And that costs the taxpayers money, and it's not the township's money, it's our money. It's your money. You guys are taxpayers too. And you sit up here and you ask a question and neither I get, and that's why I was shaking my head, because I don't get answers up here. I stand up here, I got 5 minutes, I have to sit down, stand up, all right? Trying to ruin the train of thought, and you guys are just standing there and then trying to change the subject. And I don't understand this $9.1 million, we could probably go through it and probably shave off, I would say, 2 million. And I know Mr. Garza say, well, where would you shave it off? I don't know, but I think this every year we overborrow every year, and I've proven this beyond a shadow of a doubt. And every year council just ignores it.
Is there anything else you want to add? Or do you have any questions, or you're just going to provide your opinion?
Yes, I do. Do we know when the library bathroom renovations are going to be done from 2015 that we borrowed? Does anybody have a problem with the fact that we borrowed money for 2015 renovations? And we actually now, I believe 2015, that amount has been permanently financed? Is that correct, Mr. Cardis? The 2015 amount that was originally a bond anticipatory note, I'm assuming that that's been permanently financed.
I would assume, yeah.
All right, so we borrowed for that 2015 bathroom renovations for the library, and they haven't been done, and nobody knows when they're going to be done.
I think you bring up a good valid point. I think Mr. Carter's, what we can do is look into it. Like you mentioned, some projects could have been moved. Maybe that happened. We're talking 9 years ago. So why don't we give him the opportunity to go back to 2015 and see if that project was moved for some other reason? Like you mentioned already, because the projects can be moved, right?
Absolutely, and Sam, you are free to email me any questions that you have, but you chose not to do that. You've had this capital budget in for most 2 weeks.
I actually Oprah'd the day after I got the capital project, and since it didn't fall within the 7 business days, I didn't get those invoices back, or else I would have had more questions.
You opened the bathrooms from 2015.
I opened them before, and I got that they're not done
Before when?
last year. So when you say that Mr. Carter's he's had ample opportunity to look into it in 2015.
And you didn't get a response from me, and yet.
Actually, no, I did get a response. I did get a response, and they weren't done. And now they're still not done.
Well, I don't recall giving you a response, but I'll look into it.
Okay,
You said
because
you
I sent
raised this
the Oprahs. So,
You said it was a year ago, you could have raised it within the last week or so, you had this budget.
but again, in 2015, when I stood up here, or 2023, last year, when I stood up here and said, how come the bathrooms haven't been done? Everybody, same looks, crickets, and nobody did anything about it. And now here I am a year later, the bathrooms still aren't done. And now we're gonna go look into it, but yet I'm sure that won't get looked into at all.
I don't know that they have not been done, and I don't know that it's not been canceled, because if it was permanently financed, it very well may have been canceled. Because that would have fell within that realm of money that.
Okay, but we still borrowed for the money. We still borrowed for that and didn't do the project. And so therefore that money is still outstanding, and we still have to pay on that loan. You can cancel the project, you can't cancel the loan.
Stop stepping over each other, please. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this ordinance? Mr. Sweet, please continue.
You can cancel the project, but you can't cancel the debt. So if we borrowed in 2015 and they've been permanently financed, all right, we are now paying for a project that either was routed someplace else, or, and I don't know the answer to that, but we borrowed for a project that's not complete. So that means at some point, we're gonna have to borrow to get the bathrooms redone. Or if the bathrooms are fine in the library, then we borrowed for no reason at all, and we overborrowed. And I can't stand up here, I can keep standing up here. You guys gotta start changing your borrowing habits, because it's increasing taxes, over borrowing, early borrowing. All right, I'm not gonna go borrow $50,000 to go buy a new truck 6 years from now. I'm not gonna go to the bank and say, I need a new roof, give me $50,000, and then go to Tahiti with it, and then go back to the bank and say, I need $50,000 again for a new roof, because I spent the money elsewhere. All right, now I'm gonna owe the bank $100,000, not 50, and I could have canceled the project, decided to go to Tahiti. Yes, but I'm still gonna need to put a new roof on.
So can I comment on the cancellation of that? Because it seems to be-
Well, I want to see if Mr. Sweet has any more questions. Do you have any more questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll close the public hearing. I entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. McAdams?
Yes. Next is ordinance, first reading and introduction. Ordinance 0-24-04. Ordinance of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, providing for real property tax exempt status predicated upon a veteran's disability. This shall provide an exemption from real property taxation on property owned by a disabled veteran or 100% service-related disabled veteran. And the intent of this ordinance to establish the effective date for an applicant seeking this tax exempt status in any current tax year. May I have a motion? There's a second?
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Mr. McAdams?
Yes. Next is ordinance 0-24-05, an ordinance of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, and State of New Jersey adopting prohibited uses to the land development ordinance. This ordinance has accepted the recommendation of the planning board, has determined that in the best interest of the township to adopt this new section in the land development ordinance. Therefore, that ordinance 0-0303, known as the land development ordinance of the Township of Gloucester, is hereby amended as follows. To amend section 41K of the general regulations to add the following: parking and or overnight parking, storage of semi-trailer tractors, trucks, tractor units, and semi-trailers, except when associated with the operation of permitted use, and storage of material in semi-trailers or temporary trailers, except during loading, unloading, associated with the operation of a permitted use. I entertain a motion. There a second?
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Mr. Ricardo?
Yes. Ordinance 0-24-06. This was the first reading. There'll be a public hearing at the second reading. An ordinance of the Township of Gloucester establishing certain fees for the sewer utility as part of Chapter 51 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, and State of New Jersey. This establishes fees for the sewer utility. The sewer bill that's paid quarterly, that remains the same, $46 per unit per quarter. This is, I'm highlighting the sewer connection fee. Mr. Carter, do you want to comment on that?
No, you said it's
It's highlighting the sewer connection fee and increasing that fee. I entertain a motion.
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
On the question, is this the accurate one?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is ordinance 024-07, ordinance of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, amending ordinance 0-03, land development to adopt an updated zoning map. Ms. Corbin, would you like to address this, please?
Good evening, council. This ordinance to update the zoning map is essentially to effectuate the previous council ordinance amendments that council have adopted since 2016, 2017. So the list of ordinance amendments which are outlined in the ordinance are outlined in the zoning map update that we have before you tonight.
All right, I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mrs. Nash, or Mr. Nash, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Now we'll have our consent agenda. Any council member would like to have any item removed from the consent agenda, please speak up. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
We had a public portion already. Please don't shout out, Ms. Smithman. Thank you. There's a second on the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright?
Yes.
Troxel? Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
I'm going to vote for the resolution, but abstain on invoice number 0577 and invoice 0573.
And that's on resolution 073 for payment bills.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes to all. We have a few GTE Gov access emails. The first is from, it comes from January. We have to provide an answer for Mr. Peter Heimball. Morningstar Court in Sicklerville, New Jersey. Please fully explain the process for GT's reverse tax appeals. Please fully explain the work that consultant blah, blah, blah does to execute GT reverse tax appeals. How are the apartment complex properties chosen for reverse tax appeal? And were the Gloucester outlet property parcels considered and analyzed for reverse tax appeal? The township hired a law firm and specializes in reverse tax appeals. The law firm reviewed properties and made recommendations to file appeals. They are working on a contingent fee basis and only get paid when they bring money into the township. They do not get reimbursed for any expenses, including experts and filing fees, whether they are successful or not. The apartments which were chosen were based on data to include whether or not they may significantly whether or not they may be significantly underassessed. Not all apartments were appealed. Comparable sales were considered, which reduced to a common unit of value might indicate any given property was underassessed. Additionally, mortgages were looked at to indicate what the property might be worth, also capitalization rate data and potential rents. And to the last question regarding the outlets, no, they were not considered and analyzed for reverse tax appeal. Next, from Carol Haskin, 10 4th Amendment Avenue, Sicklerville, New Jersey. Can you provide the names and rank of anyone from the Gloucester Township Police Department that attend the controversial street cop training in Atlantic City in 2021? If a claim that the names cannot be provided is made, please provide the number of attendees and their rank. If Gloucester Township did have any attendees, what is the additional training cost as mandated by the state for attending this 2021 training in Atlantic City? Thank you. According to the Chief of Police, no one attended this training. Our next eGov comes from Terry Fretz at 85 Cherry Circle, Blackford, New Jersey. I do not attend council meetings, but I do like to be aware of what is happening in Gloucester Township. I tried Friday through this morning to view the agenda on your website, but only the bill list was posted. I'm reading this as it's written, is there our agenda for tonight's meeting, February 26, 2024? Thanking you in advance for your attention to this matter. As I stated earlier, the clerk made a request to have the agenda posted on Thursday afternoon. Unfortunately, it did not make its way there. It was posted this morning. It was brought to the attention of the clerk. Mr. Cardis, we have a service that updates our website. I'm requesting, if possible, to have a credit. This is not the first time this has happened, but we have not had our agenda posted there, and we need to remedy this situation. I do appreciate Ms. Fretz sending an email and contacting us as opposed to some of the other methods that a resident or may have in this township. I think this is the proper way to ask a question. Next, Terry Fretz from 85 Cherry Circle. A few weeks ago, Gloucester Township Public Works Department spent 2 days cleaning the park behind my home on Cherry Circle in Blackwood. I would like to thank them for the wonderful job that they did. Our park has never looked so good, and I wanted them to know that their work was appreciated. I had the opportunity to speak to a few of them when they were around my home, and they were very nice and friendly. I think it's important to residents to know that we have such nice people working and wanting to keep our parks in the best condition possible. Thank you to everyone at Public Works. It really was a lot of work and cleanup, and they did an outstanding job. And that concludes our e-govs. We'll now open up the public portion. Second public portion, anyone wishing to speak on any item, please raise your hand. Each speaker is entitled to 5 minutes, and they have an opportunity to speak twice. There's 30 minutes for this second public portion. Ms. Smith, followed by Ms. Coyne.
Hi, good evening, Council. My name is Shauna C. Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens Apartment Complex on Millbrook Court, Apartment 341. I apologize. I must have missed the public portion for the consent agenda. May I ask what time this meeting started this evening? Is today still February 26th, 2024?
It is. I saw you take a picture of the clock earlier. It
Right, but
started,
you know, it's so late, it could be AM or PM at this point, so I figured I would ask.
it started at 7:30,
Okay, what time is it now?
almost 10:50.
Thank you for answering that. I had learned from a woman, her name was Miss Edna. This was at the South Jersey Behavioral Health Resources Partial Care Program. She would take an onion and cut it in half and sprinkle sugar on it, making like a funnel on the bottom. She would cut the bottom off and place it over a cup. And the sugar would actually make the onion weep. And that the onion apparently is very good for the lungs. And for whatever reason, after she told me that, a couple days later, she was kind of angry. She said something to the effect of, is there anything else I wanted to know? So I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that that was Miss Edna, and that Bryson Sports Bar and Pub, I think it's considered Pennsauken, but it's right on the borderline of Merchantville, New Jersey, is where the presidential elections and the Summer Olympics falls on a leap year. To one more time bring it up that February is a leap year. It has 29 days instead of 28. Also, I think it occurred to me that the daylight savings is approaching. Is it the second Saturday of March? Am I wrong?
Yes, it's going, yeah, second Saturday. Well, according to Sunday.
Well, so it's Sunday morning.
Sunday at 2 a.m.
And it's the second Sunday in March, but it is March. I only ask because I forget it all the time. So I wanted to bring it up, and since the council meetings are only, for Gloucester Township, the council meetings are the second and fourth Monday of every month, it's kind of hard to determine when to bring that information up to give someone prior notice, because every 2 weeks it might be too late. So I wanted an opportunity to bring that up. On my approach here this evening, I noticed that the street lights were just beginning to illuminate. On the northbound side of Kelly Driver Road, do you know Kelly Driver Road intersects with County Route 534 and Hyder Lane? And Hyder Lane comes directly into this Gloucester Township municipality. On the northbound side, that's on the Kelly Driver Road heading towards Hyder Lane, you can see the back of the businesses that are located on Shoes Landing Road. It runs parallel to the front of that business park is, well, shopping center faces Shoes Landing, and the back of that shopping center faces Kelly Driver Road. Across from this store called the Dance Club, there is a streetlight that is turning on and off. Could I report that this evening?
You had the number on the pole.
I did not approach the pole to check the number. I brought that up last council meeting, that there are several labels on each pole of the utility pole.
So you were taking a picture of that clock, right? You have a camera on your phone?
I have a camera on my phone.
So is it possible you could take a picture of that pole?
Well, it is very possible, and sometimes I would, for whatever reason. This evening I didn't. But since it is behind a business that services children, I think it could be interpreted as a little creepy. Because the camera would also catch the view of a business that caters to children. One reason why someone might hesitate, should not really be necessary. You have the business administrator for Gloucester Township right here to see where the location I'm speaking of. It's called a dance club.
I'll take a picture of it on the way.
Thank you, Mr. Nash.
Do you need
Send an officer out to check it out.
Do you need a picture to indicate that the light needs to be repaired?
Well, to get the pole number, okay, so we can report that. Anything else you like that?
No, I don't have it. Well, if Gloucester Township would be interested in participating in a program, if it's made available, that would allow people to pay the fines and penalties, or at the very least pay for copyrighted materials that they sold that would have been seen illegally, like a bootleg.
Ms. Smithman, sorry, your time's up. Anyone else would like to speak? Ms. Coyne?
Denise Coyne, Shoes Landing. I'd just like to remind you that we have a First Amendment right to free speech. and a First Amendment right to petition our government. And we could do that any way we choose. And you don't have to like it.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
I think that was just in poor taste, what happened this morning.
What was in poor taste?
No, let me finish.
What are you speaking of? So we know
Let
what we're
me
talking
finish.
about.
In poor taste.
What?
Are you gonna let me finish?
If you tell me what we're speaking
Let
about,
me finish, Ms. Coyne.
tell me what we're speaking
Ms.
about.
Coyne, let me finish.
Go ahead.
That members of our department, our clerk's department, have to be videotaped. Videotaped. They came here to work. It's one thing if people want to take shots at council and sit outside and waste their time on election day with a sign, okay, or videotape and say their First Amendment rights being taken away from them. But to come here and videotape members, employees of our township, what was the purpose of that?
Because it's our First
No,
Amendment
no.
rights.
I'm not done speaking, Ms. Coyne, okay?
Is it
You
my
asked for-
5 minutes or
you asked
yours?
for respect, pause it. You asked for respect,
Thank
give
you.
me respect.
If you pause the
Okay.
clock.
I asked him to pause it.
Go ahead.
You come up here on my First Amendment, well, you know what? I'm expressing my First Amendment rights. And when people here on this dais express their First Amendment rights, you do not like it.
Says who?
No, I'm not
Says
done
you.
speaking. I'm not done speaking, Ms. Coyne.
Okay.
You're gonna come up here, you wanna lecture us, okay? I'm gonna lecture you, and I'm gonna lecture your little friends, okay? They can go out there and disseminate crap in the parking lot. They can come here and videotape people, but those people do not deserve that. They do not deserve it at all, and that's what I'm speaking about.
Can I
Time is
speak now?
yours.
Okay. We have a First Amendment right to videotape our public officials in the course of their duties. It's case law. That is our right. They're public officials. They're in a public place. You can video anything you can see from public. It's a First Amendment right given to us by the Constitution. You don't have to like it, but it is our right. We have a right to petition our government. Okay, you said yourself, this is not the first time that this has happened where the agenda is not posted to the township's website. It has to do with transparency and accountability. We come to a meeting we don't have the time to prepare for. It happens over and over again. You said that tonight yourself. We have a right to document that. That is our right. How dare you slap us for exercising our right? You are a representative. You took an oath to the Constitution to support the Constitution and to protect our rights. And you're trying to suppress us and prevent us from using them by telling us we're bad people for exercising them. You don't get to do that. The Constitution protects us from tyrants like you.
Thank you very much. And my responsibility is to protect all of our individuals here and residents of this township and people who work here, Ms. Coyne. Have a great evening. Anyone else? Mr. Sweet.
Isn't there a difference between an official and
It's just poor taste, Ms. Right? Just poor. Mr. Sweet.
Sam Sweet from Ariel. I must have missed something. I have no clue what that was about.
Oh, you'll know soon.
No clue what that was about. When we get a bond anticipatory note, is there a cost associated with that?
I don't know what the cost is, it's minimal compared to a permanent financing. Ms. Aaron, I don't know if you know what that cost would be. That's just, but bond counsel takes typically 1 day to prepare a bond ordinance. And that's really the only cost associated with it. The supplemental debt statement would be filed by Mrs. Aaron, correct?
I filed a supplemental debt statement.
Well, what I'm saying by cost is, when you permanently it's my understanding when you permanently finance it, there's a cost associated because you need a legal team to review the documents and all of that, and they charge a fee for that.
That's a much higher cost.
Okay,
In the back
but
of each bond book, each time you bond, there is a gray binder that is created. And in the back of that book, it lists all the professionals. And I believe there's a schedule in there that shows what each professional is.
is there a similar cost, but a less of a cost when we?
No, because it's just bond, it would be
Okay.
just bond counsel preparing the board.
All right, and is that cost for the permanently financed about 10% of the bond?
It's not 10%, but it's not cheap. It can be as much as $100,000, maybe a little more. It's nowhere near the cost of the bond itself.
Okay. Getting back to, I know the ordinance passed for the capital projects. I know President Mercado asked questions and sent questions to Mr. Cardis. How many of the other council members asked questions regarding the capital projects?
Would any council members like to respond to that?
Yeah, I did.
I also raised a question.
Every member of council, we sat down here beforehand, we asked line by line, in addition to that, I reached out to multiple supervisors within the town and asked their opinion on items of the budget as well.
How did you reach out to them? Through the phone. And when he said he sat down with everybody, when did we sit down with them?
We had a workshop. It was discussed at our workshop 2 weeks ago.
Okay. All right. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hendry.
Good evening, Dina Hendry, Summerdale.
Good evening.
2 weeks ago, when I had asked about the publishing of the redevelopment meeting, and it wasn't on the website, and I believe the clerk had stated that she would let me know. I never got a phone call or an email of what happened.
Madam Clerk?
I thought I emailed you. I will check.
I believe, I just checked now. I typed your name. It's not there. Nor a phone call.
I could swear I sent you an email.
Okay, it wasn't there. So being that we're here, and I still have 4 minutes and 13 seconds, what happened?
With the redevelopment meeting, I did not send it. I did not send it to the website, put it in the newspaper, and did not send it to updates to folks.
Okay, so the newspaper, it's kind of like a dinosaur. It needs to, I mean, we have to have better ways to let the public know what's going on. I mean, I don't buy a newspaper. I mean, I went last night to try to find the public, portion or agenda of this meeting or a public notice, and I couldn't find it. The website itself needs to be fixed. Like who's responsible for ensuring that the website is user friendly? I mean, we still have things there from notices from 2023, 2022. Like it's really confusing and it's not user friendly whatsoever.
That's through the administration. Ms. Cardis, is that something that you can ask our folks that handle our social media and all the different platforms to work with the Blue Wire that does this, to update that information there?
Yeah, Ken,
Just take
I
a
have
look
not
at it.
received any complaints about the stale data information on the website, so you're the first one that I heard.
Understood. And being that this has happened a couple times where, the account that we use to put things up like the agenda has not happened. Like what safeguards are going to be in place to ensure that the agenda is there for the whole public to see in a timely fashion?
I don't have any that come to mind. Ms. Powers, what she does is she sends an email. She keeps a copy of that email that is sent up to updates. In the past, she has done on her own time, has done screenshots of that. So we just have to ensure that it is up there and it's available to our residents. And quite frankly, I was not happy learning that it was not up there. So that's why I'm asking Mr. Cars to reach out to the vendor and express our dissatisfaction that it was not.
Okay,
So real quick.
Go for it.
I don't want to go back to the page. So what were you saying was updated on the,
you have like notices, like, I mean, I work on websites, like that's my profession. It's just not user friendly. It's having old, like you type in council and it's like old stuff. It's nothing to your fingertips. It's just not user friendly whatsoever. I would just clean it up and archive it, and ensure that it's done in a timely manner. In the future, if the agenda is not posted, how would you like it to be handled?
They can contact the clerk's office.
But if it's
There wasn't a need for, and I'm sure you're aware of it, there wasn't a need for an individual to come in here and videotape the people that work in that office. There wasn't a need to come into council chambers and bypass the receptionist, and the receptionist instructed that individual, you should have stopped here. So a phone call, but that was the purpose of creating some clicks and some comments and some fodder for the next time there's a podcast. So it was just in poor taste.
okay, so a phone call, but when would one person call?
8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, if that was not there.
Okay, all right then, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to speak that has not spoken before? Ms. Smithman, followed by Mr. Sweet.
Good evening, Council. My name is Shauna C. Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens Apartment Complex on Millbrook Court, apartment 341. What is 2406? That was when there were a different, when it's not printed on white paper, that typically means that it was like an addition for the evening agenda?
That was the updated fees, correct, Mr. Cars?
yes, the original agenda had an incorrect calculation of updated connection fee. That was reflected in a change that took place on Saturday, therefore the change and the new ordinance for Monday.
Yes.
But was that voted on? Like, was that,
Yes.
was that included? I didn't hear that it was included. Usually it's announced that it's something called like a walk-on.
No, so we had, it was the first reading and we'll have a second.
The one printed in yellow,
There'll be a hearing for it, yes.
but I didn't hear it brought up.
I asked the question.
Oh, you did? I could have known that. I missed,
Yes.
I missed for
In
the
fact-
first portion to speak during the consent agenda. It's very possible I missed something else too. I'm far from perfect. I had gone to the Gloucester County Board of Elections located on University Court. I don't know if that's considered Turnersville or what area that would be considered. It's right near Orr Street. I asked for the election results. They were kind enough to print out that the election was won by, for the council president, Orlando Mercado.
Oh, and 3 other individuals.
It had them on there, but you were the only one that was confronted during a work session prior to a Gloucester Township Council meeting.
Terrible, wasn't it? It's terrible, wasn't it?
Depends on what you notice and how you understand it and what, you know, did happen and what could happen. I just wanted to make you aware that I did get a printed result that you were the one that won that election. I only bring it up, Saturday, I had a United States Postal Service worker at the pedestals located on Millbrook Court delivering letters. I had a question for that person, and they wouldn't identify what township or where the United States Postal Service was located that that particular letter carrier worked at. couldn't quite figure out why. I've had very strange things going on with my addresses. I've brought up several times with council, with the police. While I've never had an appointment with Chief Harkins, even though he seems to have my paperwork with him quite often, I've never actually reviewed it with him or had an appointment with Chief Harkins of the Gloucester Township Police Department. And now the United States Postal Service, it was so strange, they would not verbally announce where his place of employment was. I've had letters also come from the veterinarian for my cat, Patty, God rest her soul. She had passed away in 2019. There was a vet that would come to the apartment. I was having a lot of difficulty figuring out how to get my cat health care to bring her to the veterinarian because I haven't driven since 2015, maybe even before that, other than driving my son's car and Bill Feeney's car when he lived in my apartment in the year 2020. The letter arrived with, it said mill and it had space, bridge, and then it had the address Laurel Springs, which I've been having some strange discrepancies of cross-referencing of complications with how to properly write my address. It was just very strange. And when I hear things directed towards you, it might come up here or there that you might want to be reassured that I did see that you were elected. I'm not going to tell you who I voted for. My father didn't get much through to me, but one thing he did say was he's not going to tell me who he voted for. I can't exactly tell you how he said that to me, but I understood at a very young age that he wasn't going to tell me who he voted for, that it was none of. That's all. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Mr. Sweet.
Last time for the night, I promise. What's the sewer rate connection fee going up to? And what was it, like, what's the increase?
$2,224.79 per EDU. And Tom, do you have the previous number for that?
I believe it was 1,600. I don't know if it was 1,600 rounded to 1,600 or 1,600 and change. EDU stands for equivalent domestic unit.
So we're increasing it by $600?
That's correct. And that's by formula that has to be calculated by the.
Okay, you said it's a formula?
Yes.
So there's nothing that can be done. It's not a haphazard guess, or we just feel like raising it up. And is it
Not arbitrary.
is this done every year?
Excuse me?
Is this done every year?
No, it has not been done in some time. That's why there was a huge discrepancy in what it was.
Okay.
1,600 to 2,000 to 24%.
So how often do they have to do that?
I don't think they're required to do it. It's just that they're able to do it.
Okay, all right, and then we can discuss that more in depth at the second reading, correct?
Yes.
Okay, with regards to the capital project, I forgot to ask this. It's 9.1 that we're borrowing, and then there's a line item that says less capital improvement fund, 435,000. Is that left over from 23? So what is that?
State of New Jersey required you anytime you borrow money, you have to put down 5% for the capital improvement. There's a line item in the budget, in the back of the budget, on the debt service that says capital improvement.
Okay, all right, thank you. President Mercado, regardless of whether what happened earlier this morning or not, and how you feel about whether we come up or not, part of you have a hard job, and I understand that. But getting angry at us because we're questioning it, or somebody's doing something that you don't like, it's not a good look for you.
Sam, may I respond to that?
Well, may I finish?
Okay, we stop and can I respond to that?
Sure.
It's not getting angry. You know, it is, you get to the point, you know, you take the high road and you take the high road. And these people in the clerk's office did not deserve that. They didn't. No one's infringing upon anyone's First Amendment, right? Show some class. It was just poor. Poor. And it's all for clicks and for some fodder. And that's what it's about. And it's trying, you know what? You want to make me look bad? I don't care. Waste an afternoon holding a sign out in front of the municipal hall. Okay, what did that do? Nothing. Okay, but record videos in front of the building. Okay, do that. Waste your time. But come in here. Okay, these people are trying to do their job. They came in here at 8 o'clock today. They didn't expect someone with a camera in front of their face, like they did something wrong. Make a phone call, send an email. That's it. But, oh, we're infringing upon their First Amendment rights. If they want to waste their time doing videos and passing out crap in the parking lot, do it. It's not gaining any traction at all. Time's yours.
All right, Mr. Reed, Coach Reed. Coach Reed, Andy Reed. you
Yes,
just
I
said- Okay. To be clear, I wasn't, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, as council president, sometimes you have to take the good with the bad. And if that happens, and while I may agree with you, coming at them, if that's the way they feel on the First Amendment rights, you just gotta let it go. Just like I'm very disappointed in council over the fact that I stood up here for about an hour or so talking about the capital projects and not one person had a, I got crickets on a lot of my answers, right? But I'm not up here, getting angry and yelling. I'm just disappointed in all of you that I've done this every year, year in and year out, and then doesn't change anything. And then for you to point out that it doesn't do any good and it's not getting any traction, again, not a good look, because you're supposed to be above that. And
Above that?
above that.
Above that.
Above
No,
that.
I get accused of
Okay.
being above that.
Okay?
No.
I said above that.
No.
I said above that, not above them. I said above that.
I'm a public official, not a public punching bag.
Okay, but
And
part of-
folks are not gonna come here and make comments and get away or do those things. Again, you wanna beat up on me or members of council, fine. Don't beat up on our employees. That
Okay.
was not necessary. Sam, and you just wanna.
There's a way
Certain
to,
things that are just indefensible. It was poor. It was classless. That's all I have to say.
well, if we want to go down the road of poor and classy, you could look to your right, and his wife attacked me and attacked my wife. If you want to go poor and classy. So I only got 7 seconds left, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, his wife attacked my wife publicly.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes our public portion. We have polling of directors.
Mr. Carlino? Mr. Hardis?
Nothing.
Chief Harkins?
Nothing to report.
Mr. McGill? Mrs. Eric? Mr. Young?
Congratulations to all our award winners tonight. The Black History Month was well put together. And we had a great night. Be safe. Cheers.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Congratulations to everyone who received the plaque this evening. We well deserved. It was good to see so many people in our township doing something positive for the entire township, and not just for themselves. And that does my heart good to see that. And we do that a lot in this township, and I appreciate it. And I just wanted to say that I think we get more with kindness than we do with animosity, no matter what our position is on anything. If we treat people with respect and with kindness, we should get a little return. It doesn't always happen, but we try the best we can, and we continue to rise above it. And that's everyone. And everyone have a good night.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Congratulations to all of the recipients tonight. One of the things that I like to see as a woman of color is when the community comes together and they network. We have a lot of good businesses and a lot of great African-American people in our community, knowing each other, working with each other, and making our community so much more great. It's already great, and we just have so many people that are caring, that are praying over our community, that are giving back to our community. And I'm just so happy again to be a part of Gloucester Township and to make a difference alongside of everyone else. Thank you again.
Mr. Nash?
Yeah, I agree. Yes, I want to congratulate all the award winners tonight. It was an honor for me to be a part of it, so thank you. Thanks for everyone coming out tonight. Go nuts on Orlando. Go nuts and coffee on Orlando.
We're doing an all-nighter.
Mr. Walters?
I wanted to congratulate all the winners tonight. It was very nice to actually present to somebody that I work with. And to see the young ones as well, to see them rise up. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you.
Mrs. Renner?
I want to congratulate all the nominees. Thank you.
Mr. Mercado?
Thank you for coming out this evening. Congratulations to all the honorees. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
There's a second. All those in favor? Have a great evening, everyone.
I have to stop that. Try to bang something, pop a hole in the damn wall.